Hey, I'm Plooploop and welcome to the Ultimate Cyber Hunter Guide. In this guide I'll be covering basic, advanced and my own personal strategies and methods. This video does not contain a single ad and therefore is completely free. I also do not mind if you skip to the chapter that you are looking for, and each chapter will have a timestamp in the description so that you can easily skip ahead. So I would appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe. Because not only is it entirely free, it took me hundreds of hours to make this video. In this video there is a total of 8 chapters. Chapter 1, Weapons. In this chapter I'll be covering the basics of the weapons and I'll showcase every single weapon while talking about the pros and cons. Chapter 2, Droid Skills. In the second chapter we'll be talking about droid skills and their general use. It also contains a little bit of strategies for some of the skills, so make sure to watch them if you are new to the droid skills. Chapter 3 is all about the vehicles. Know which vehicle is the best for your playstyle? This chapter will definitely answer the question. Chapter 4 is about the game modes that Cyber Hunter has. As you know, it has a lot of game modes. Battle Royale is the most popular one, but also it has some of the less popular ones. We'll be talking about all of them. Chapter 5 is about all the maps and spawn points that Cyber Hunter has. Did you know that there is more than one map? Chapter 5 covers everything of it. Chapter 6, Gameplay Strategies. Now this is probably my favorite chapter, as it contains my personal strategies, but also those that I've noticed being used widely by advanced players. Chapter 7, Cold Reading. Cold Reading is a term that's used mainly by magicians, but also by a lot of other fields. And in this game, Cold Reading is most likely one of the most advanced strategies that you can master. Chapter 8 contains all the extras that I still have hidden for you in this guide. So, Chapter 1. In Chapter 1 we'll be talking about weapons. And not just weapons, but also their use and kind of scenarios where each weapon excels the other. Other than weapons I'll be talking about the core, the mag, and I'll also be showing their use in game and how they work. So, if you have never played with a weapon, you will get a general idea about how it works. Let's start with SMGs. There is 5 types of SMGs right now, and 4 of them are accessible in all the game modes. The Alpha is the only one that is only accessible in Faction Showdown, as far as I'm aware, where you have to manually assign them in your weapon slot. But first things first, Omega. The Omega is it's an auto SMG like all the others, and it fires extremely fast, but as you can see, the power and the distance are quite low. This is also one of the few weapons that cannot have scope. So when you play with Omega, you will only have a core and a mag. When you equip the core, it increases the damage and stability, which means that it will simply be easier to land headshots in a straight line rather than spraying all over the place. And it comes with 25 bullets per mag. If you have a mag, it will upgrade it to 75. So, if you plan on playing with this, definitely get a mag. Next on the list is a Foxtrot. A Foxtrot is an interesting SMG, as it is extremely powerful against vehicles and quantum materials. For example, if your opponent is using a lot of structures such as quantum forts and maybe even the towers or the walls, this weapon will shred to it. The same thing applies to vehicles, provided the rate of fire in combination with a core and stability, you can easily take out vehicles in like a heartbeat. Like all the other SMGs that can have scopes, this can have a scope up until the 4 times, which looks quite weird for an SMG, but it works really well. Add a core on it, gets a bit more stable, like a lot more stable. Like honestly, it's comparable to a Delta stability wise. And with a mag, you will have a grand 75 bullets. So that's a Foxtrot, very good against vehicles and structures. It's okay against players, but I would definitely go with all the SMGs if you have a choice. Now the Sentinel, by far one of the most popular weapons in all of Cyber Hunter. In any server you will encounter many players dominating others with the Sentinel. That is because of the sheer power of this weapon. It's an SMG and it packs quite a heavy punch. It only comes with 18 bullets. Get yourself a mag and you got 40. Got the core on it. And we get a bit more power and stability, which makes it a great weapon. Where you have a 4x on it, since you will be very, very accurate. And not only that, you can kill people easily. The core also has a extra effect which reduces the reload time. That comes down to like from 3 seconds to 1 second ish. So if you're like against a lot of players and you need to quickly reload, this weapon will come in clutch. Now the Alpha, I have not tried this a lot. It's honestly not my kind of weapon. It's very, very bad. The power is like not really present, but when you kill a player with the core, it will automatically reload, meaning that you don't have to manually reload a weapon. Honestly, it's not really a pro, it's more of a con, since when you're in a firefight or reload, and I don't know, to each their own I guess, but 35 wall bullets. I honestly don't get why anyone would play with this. It looks like a nice SMG, but it's weak in power, distance is minimal, it has no scope, it shoots extremely fast, stability is quite nice as well, and other than that it has no benefits. So if this ever gets added in the game without any changes to the way it's currently presented in this video, then make sure to avoid this weapon, because all the other 4 SMGs are a lot better, even Omega. So lastly, the Hummingbird. This is the only dual wield weapon in the game so far, as in you will have 2 of these bad boys in your hands, one on the left, one on the right. That results in an extremely high rate of fire. It comes with 40 bullets and you will grind through those 40 bullets extremely fast. If you get this, you'll want to get a core ASAP, because this has no scope, but it is extremely stable, so you don't really need a scope. The distance, however, is not that far, so it will only help you in close combat pretty much. If you slap a mag on it, you'll have 60 bullets. And that's it about SMGs. My personal recommendations to play with are Sentinel and Foxtrot if you want to play with SMGs. And if you want to have 2 SMGs, like one in the first slot, one in the second slot, then definitely go with something that has a scope for longer range fights and something that has no scope but dominates at close range fights, such as this one. Anyway, rifles. This is my favorite category. But let's not talk too much, let's get straight into business. Every rifle, I think almost every rifle can have a scope, for each up to 6 times. Now there's a trick with the scopes. If you have a 6 times, you can unzoom a little bit, so it's looking the same as a 4 times from your scope, but your accuracy will be extremely stable. This will make it one of the only weapon types in game where you can land hip shots that are very, very accurate. So if you are planning to play with rifles, make sure to grab a 6 scope when you can. Anyway, Liberty Alpha. 40 bullets, fully upgraded, extremely powerful and quite stable. This weapon dominates against structures and vehicles. Like, don't mess around with players that have a Liberty Alpha. If you plan on building towers and forts, like, they will pop in like 8 bullets and it's gone. And they will have 32 left to deal with you or more of your structures. You will just waste your quantum materials and cubes in general. So Liberty Alpha, extremely useful against structures and vehicles. Second is my favorite, the Delta. The Delta is known for its stability. Everyone in the game that plays with the Delta uses it for the stability. With the 6th scope, you can kill players around 300 meters of range, maybe a bit more or less. And you will shoot at this distance still extremely accurate, especially if you have the core equipped with it. Because the core reduces the spray and makes your weapon like a significant amount more accurate. That being said, the damage is quite nice as well. If you look at the power, it's compared to the other one, the Liberty Alpha, it's quite powerful. Land a couple of headshots and you got a guaranteed kill. With a mag, you'll have 48 bullets, which is the most of all the rifles. And quite frankly, it's all you need to kill a squad. Dark Confrontation. This weapon, if you know how to play with it, can be extremely powerful. You can laser players in a heartbeat. I'm not one of the people that know how to properly play with this, but I have used it plenty of times. Usually it was not voluntarily, but let's not talk about that. Dark Confrontation is a burst weapon and it's the only burst weapon in the game so far. The burst weapon shoots 3 bullets and then it has like a little time of interval before it can shoot 3 bullets again. So if you spray on people, you will shoot 3 bullets, breaks, 3 bullets, break, 3 bullets, break, and that's how this weapon works. Now if you land all 3 bullets on the head, for example, you can imagine how quickly you can kill players. But the stability of this weapon is very low. Even if you put all the upgrades on it, you won't get this much stability. The stability is good, but the thing is, with every bullet it shoots, you'll get a bit of recoil, meaning that your gun will aim a bit up, left, right, you know. So to get a proper headshot with the 3 bullets in one burst, you'll need to practice a lot with this weapon. Like, a lot. Once you get down to it, and once you master this weapon, I don't want to say it, but it is one of the most powerful rifles in this collection. And not a lot of players play with this because they do not want to spend hours upon hours to debunk the recoil pattern and to get the best out of this weapon. But it's worth it if you're willing to take the steps. Son of the Sky. This is one of my favorite weapons, simply because of the raw damage of this weapon. It comes with 25 bullets, which is not a lot. If you add this to it, look at the power. It significantly increases. Now, if you land a headshot with this, you need to hit 2 bullets and it's a kill. 2 headshots with a rifle. That's insane. It can go up to 40 bullets. As for stability, not that far compared to the other rifles, but extremely stable. Stable enough to land plenty of kills. Now, let's talk again about the unzooming thing. If you have a 6 times. If you have a 6 times and you unzoom until it's like fully unzoomed, you'll basically have a 4 times. But the thing is, you can easily spray with this weapon and it will still stay extremely stable. Which put this very close on the Delta stability wise, but due to the power, it's a lot better. So if you are good with weapons that have recoils, or you're up for a challenge, or you simply want a very, very powerful weapon, this is your go-to. Drake Buster. It's a very stable weapon, not that much power compared to the others. Rate of fire is quite high though. Distance is a bit less, but it's a great weapon. If you have a core, look at the rate of fire. It's faster than a freaking SMG, and that is insane. The core also introduces the ability to reload extremely fast. With the reload speed increases by 75%, if not more. So if you get this, it's definitely worth playing with it. It's stable, it does a decent amount of damage, it's extremely fast. Very stable. You get 40 bullets. Once fully upgraded, of course. Now, the Crusader. This one is a weapon that you can only get from supply chest in Battle Royale. In the other game modes, it depends on the type of game mode. And it also depends on how you're going to get them. For example, in some game modes it spawns on the ground, other game modes it gets in a special spawn point. I'll get to that when I explain the game modes in the other chapters. But for now, Crusader. It's actually a powerful weapon. It's also a very, very rare weapon. So if you see a player with it, or if you manage to get it, do know that you're like 1 or 2 out of the 100 players that have this weapon. That puts you at an insane advantage. Distance, rate of fire, stability and power right off the bat are extremely high. Drop a mag on it, you got 40 bullets. Get the core with it, it's a bit more stable, it does not make a big difference. However, the weapon gets a lot more silent, meaning that all the players will have a more difficult time detecting you when you are out of the range. For example, let's say you are playing a Battle Royale, you spot a squad. You are uphill near Mount Lonely and you see someone at the bridge, like going to Echo Beach. Now you have a core equipped on it. If you did not have a core and you were shooting at them, they would see bullet icons on the map. But since you have a core equipped, I think it's around 150 meters, and they will no longer see the bullet icon. So they will see the bullets hitting them, spraying around them or whatsoever, but they will not see on the map from which direction the bullet came. Of course it's obvious since like the bullet flies past them to one direction, meaning it came from the opposite direction. But in a high adrenaline combat, not everyone is thinking clear enough. So do not underestimate the firing noise, it's very powerful. To put it in perspective, let's say you did not have the core. Then they would see you. They would see, oh, the bullet's coming from there, and you would have 4 people fighting on you. If not more, because it's like a wide range that players can see bullet sounds on the minimap. And scopes. Let's get this and this together. And they have got a very high stability. This weapon is very powerful, lasering down multiple players. Since its power is also quite high, it has quite an ease to shred through quantum materials. And believe it or not, it's pretty much almost tied to a Liberty Alpha when it comes to destroying structures. Now lastly we have the Interstellar Lieutenant. This one is only available in a select few game modes. Maybe they will implement it in the Battle Royale in the future, maybe not. So far I think it's still being tested, as in how balanced it is compared to the others. But yeah, as the description says, this rifle has almost no flaws and is fit for all types of combat. Power quite high, stability is mediocre, rate of fire is very high, and distance is more than average. Put the scope on it, put the core on it, put the mag on it, and you got 35 bullets. Rate of fire quite high, similar to a Drake Buster. Stability is quite okay as well. However, this weapon knocks a heavy recoil, so although the stability looks like very high, in reality it's not that high. It will be very difficult to land headshots with this weapon, so if you use it, body shots are recommended, as the recoil will simply make it close to impossible. Now, on to the next category, snipers. I think the favorite for most of the players that are trying to make their way into Ace. Let's start with a Flamingo. A Flamingo, right off the bat, without anything, is one of the worst snipers out there. Like, damage, it's not enough for a kill when you land a headshot. Rate of fire is extremely low, it's stable though, distance is quite good. If you have an 8 scope, you can hit players from quite far. If you have a mag on it, you will have 15 bullets. 15 for a sniper is a lot. provided you can shoot like a bullet every second or so. Maybe a bit less than a second, I'm not entirely sure about that. But here comes the trick. Do you see how much that damage increases? That's almost a full bar. If you have a flamingo with a core, forget the scope and the mag, just the core. It's the second best weapon in game, damage wise. Provided you can land a headshot, of course. If you land a headshot with core equipped, it's a guaranteed kill. I've not tested this against players with the Nightingale if they have a shield up. I've tested it with players that had a quantum shield up and it was an instant kill. The Nightingale, it might come a bit close to instant kill and like 10 HP left, I'm not sure about that. That will have to be tested. But that being said, it's the strongest sniper in Battle Royale. And of all the weapons, it's the second place if you have the core and a headshot. But which one is the first place? That's the Soul Snatcher, right off the bat, without any upgrades. One shot, one kill. And that's all you need with this baby. Now, if you put a scope, like an 8 scope, got the mag, you'll have a nice weapon. You can kill players from very, very far. The distance and the range of the weapon are insane. Like land a headshot and it's a kill. If a flamingo has no core, this is the strongest weapon in Battle Royale. And it has second or third place in the full game. Second place if you have no core flamingo. Third place if you have a core flamingo. That is just how powerful this weapon is. Now, core. This is where this weapon shines. This is what makes this weapon so unique. If you have a core and you hit the enemy, for example on the body, the enemy will be highlighted and marked on the minimap for a set amount of time. Which means you can follow them. You can see them through buildings, through walls, behind the hill, whatever is blocking you and the enemy. And they will be completely shown. So if they plan to hide behind a tree, you can for example laser the tree down with a rifle or SMG or whatsoever. Maybe just land a few extra bullets to kill the tree. And then, since the player is still highlighted if you're lucky, you can land the killing blow. Next we have the Executioner. The Executioner is a weapon that's only limited to I think it's only in the sniper dual game mode. Fire sniper, whatever it's called. And this weapon is the most powerful weapon in all of the game. It can land kills if you land a headshot. The damage is higher than a Soul Snatcher and higher than a Flamingo with the core. So I don't know if this will be good, if this will become a thing in Battle Royale or not. But right now, it's only possible to get this weapon from supply drop in the sniper game mode. So if you do find one, get it. It's worth it. It's a very nice weapon to play with. Comes with 5 bullets, 10 if you got the mag. And if you got the core, look at that. Look at the power. It's maximized. It's completely filled. I don't think any weapon in this game has any of the 4 parameters completely filled. So if you have a core, and you hit someone in the body, it can still be a kill. It's like 90 damage. If the person's damaged a little bit, it's a kill. That's how powerful this weapon is. Even if the player had a Nightingale, which is impossible in sniper game mode, but let's say Battle Royale, a headshot from this weapon would be a insta-kill. That's how powerful this weapon is. Now that's the first thing about the core. The second thing is, if you kill a player, it reloads. So you don't have to manually reload, and player's dead, so chances are quite high that you're a bit in the clear. And you can just focus on killing people, because that's what you do with a sniper. Now, empty coffin. It's one of the few sniper rifles that are sometimes used as a rifle because of the shooting speed. You can shoot quite fast, you can spam with it. It also comes with a lot of bullets, especially with a mag, 20 bullets, that's a lot. It has a decent amount of power, comparable to a Son of the Sky. And just like a Crusader, when you have a core, its noise is reduced, meaning that if you're at the right distance, players will not be able to tell where you are, at least theoretically. But that's about it with the core. And a bit of stability apparently, but this stability is insignificant. You won't notice the difference between the core and not. The only thing is the firing noise that will like make the difference. Lastly, we have the Valkyrie. Some of you that have been playing this game for a couple of seasons might remember this being the meta of the game. Everyone had the Valkyrie and everyone was spamming it like crazy. People were just playing with Valkyries and all over the game. And then NetEase was forced to decrease the amount of times Valkyrie spawns in the game to make it more rare. And they were also forced to make the Valkyrie like worse than it used to be. That being said, they noticed how Valkyrie is no longer being used, how it became an obsolete weapon. So they brought back the capacity to 10 bullets, the mag to 20. The damage is higher than a empty coffin, so if you want to spray, definitely go to Valkyrie. The only downside though, which I didn't mention, empty coffin comes with its own scope. It's comparable to 4 times. It's the only weapon that has its own scope, so you don't need to find the scope if you have this one. But with the Valkyrie, you do need the scope. That's not bad though. You can land great hip shots with this weapon right off the bat. So don't get worried when you find a Valkyrie and you want to play with it, but you don't have a scope or a red dot. It's a great weapon. Don't underestimate it. Now, if you have the core, you can shoot extremely fast. Like, you can pretty much spray with it. The recoil is quite big, so if you plan on spraying, you will have to adjust your aim continuously. But it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. This is probably one of the easiest snipers to play with if you are a beginner with sniping. Definitely give this or the empty coffin a try to get used to the sniping mechanics before you move to Soul Snatcher or Flamingo. Despite the power, your skill is demanded, and with this weapon you require less skill but more stability. So that's it for the snipers. Shotguns. Shotguns, they are an interesting weapon in Cyber Hunter. Like, all of them have a range of about 20 to 30 meters at best, from which a couple of them are powerful, while shotguns like Timer and Killer Whale get reduced damage. Let's start with the Timer. First of all, extremely high damage output. The power is quite high, distance is very low, stability is very low, rate of fire is also very low. However, if you have a core, use the ability, it will grant you double damage pretty much for about 5 seconds. If you use the core, it takes 2 shots to destroy a quantum object, 3 shots to destroy the big vehicle. That's how strong the core is with this weapon. If you have a core and you are close to a player that has just used the Nightingale ability, and he has full health, land the headshot and he is instantly gone. This weapon, when used with a core, it destroys everything in its way. Pop a mag on there, you got 10 bullets. That's how insane this weapon is. Now, Refit's little brother, the Killer Whale. Killer Whale is not as powerful, but faster. Twice as fast to be exact. If you have a core on it, it does more raw damage. And it puts it tied pretty much to a timer. Like, every bullet is the same damage as a timer. However, a timer with a core dominates over this weapon any day. But this is where the rate of fire comes in. You can almost spray with a weapon. That's how fast it is. 10 bullets and you're set. You can easily kill a player, roll to them, do whatever the hell you want. You got it. Now we have the Shockwave. This is not exactly a shotgun. It's more like a minigun. It shoots a lot of bullets very fast. It's comparable to a hummingbird, to be honest. as you can see with the barrels in front of it. And 60 bullet capacity right off the start. It's a very fast weapon. The damage is also quite high for the shooting speed. Like, in a matter of seconds you'll have finished your entire mag. That's 60 bullets. That's a lot. Got the core, 120 bullets. That's how ridiculous this weapon is. And with the mag it's 120, and with the core it's more rate of fire. And if you have a core, the reload speed of this weapon is reduced significantly, because that's the downside of this weapon. The reload speed. It takes like 5 seconds to reload a weapon, so if you're out of bullets you're just screwed if this is your only weapon. You need like 5 seconds to reload. So you are going to utilize every single bullet you have when you play with this weapon. If you have a core, it reloads a lot faster. I think it comes down to 1 or 2 seconds. It's still long, but it's manageable. This weapon is also only available in a particular game mode. I'm not sure if it was the Vantage Battle Point thing or other game mode, but it's only limited in one. I don't know if they are planning to roll out this one in Battle Royale. I don't think they will, because this weapon is quite broken. If they do, it's a great weapon. The range of this weapon, despite the distance, is also quite far for shotgun classes. So if you see a player and you think, I might be able to land a headshot with this from this distance, try it, you will be surprised. Nightingale, one of the most preferred secondary weapons for pretty much anyone that's playing solos or in squad. Because it has no power, isn't that amazing? But this weapon, it's the only support weapon in the game. You can heal not only yourself but also other players. If you pop the core ability, you will have a shield that has 100 HP. 100 means you have twice as much health. And if everyone is in your range when you pop the ability, all of your squad mates will get a shield as well. Now you might be wondering, like, alright, if I'm shooting this when enemies are nearby, do I heal the enemies? No, you don't. This weapon only applies to you and your squad mates. You cannot heal enemies, you cannot give the enemies a shield or whatsoever, so definitely use it when you're close to other players. Comes with 10 bullets right off the bat. It's not a lot, because each bullet heals a bit less than a bandage, which is not a lot, so make sure to find a mag. Then you will have 20 bullets, and 20 is a game changer for this weapon. It's enough to fully heal you, your team, and to pop the core. Lastly we have the Vortex. The Vortex, it's a very unique weapon. It uses electricity and it has a long range. You cannot aim with this weapon, as weird as it might sound. You can just rotate a bit and that's about it. But what the thing is, this weapon shoots in a cone. For example, the width of this weapon at the far end is about 8 meters. And anyone between those 8 meters and like this barrel, they will get hit by this weapon. Now this is where the interesting part comes in. Let's say you have 4 people like standing next to each other, and the players are maybe healing themselves or whatsoever. You can kill all 4 at once if you hit them plenty of times with this weapon. The damage per bullet is quite high, so you will need to spend about 5 to 10 bullets to kill the entire squad that's next to each other. And they all take the same amount of damage. Now if someone exits the cone, they will not get damaged by it. If you try to adjust it, you can still damage it. So I think you might understand, this is a very strategically weapon that can be good when there is more than one player that you're facing off against, especially if they're next to each other. I've not tested this properly, but on occasions you are also able to shoot through quantum materials and damage them. So you can understand, this is kind of like the direct confrontation but of the shotguns. It's very strong, If you know how to play with it, you will dominate players easily, and especially squads. But it does not do a lot of damage, it shoots quite slow, the range is mediocre, stability is very, very high. And that's about it. So you will have to position yourself correctly. You will need to lure the enemies close to each other. And with this you can take out a squad in a heartbeat. If you have a mag, you got 25 bullets. With the core, you will do some significant extra damage to people that have a group shield. Now what is a group shield, you might ask? It's the Nightingale ability that players use. That being said, that makes this weapon the perfect anti-Nightingale weapon, because you will do twice as much damage to people that have the shield. Now I'm not sure if this damage still continues once the shield is gone, but it takes like 2 or 3 hits to completely demolish their Nightingale shield. And you don't need to press any extra buttons for it to happen. This is always activated if you have the core equipped. So definitely, if you use a vortex, you get it with a core, so whenever someone uses the Nightingale shield, you'll kill them in a heartbeat. So, heavy weapons. Let's start with my favorite heavy weapon, the Absolute Zero. This weapon was like a sniper, it was the meta around Season 3 and 2, and maybe even 1, I'm not sure, I did not play around Season 1 and 2. This weapon is extremely powerful, not because of its power, but it freezes everyone in its range. The freeze shot is not limited to one player, so let's say two enemies are behind each other and they are both in your range. You freeze both of them with one shot. Like one bullet, both are frozen for like 3 to 4 or 5 seconds. And switch with your weapon, kill them. Simple as that. If you have, for example, a shotgun, you can land a clear headshot and they are gone. If you have a rifle, you go for the headshots and you might kill them in time. The only downside is they can still use quantum materials while being frozen. So they can build a tower, they can place a wall, they can place a fort whatsoever to protect themselves. So if your end goal is to freeze players to kill them with your secondary, make sure to lure them inside buildings, because that is where they can place towers, and most players have towers. They use the other slots for scanning abilities, first aid, healing device, etc. If you are, however, in a squad, chances are that your teammates will laser down the enemies, so you can freeze them wherever. They will not be able to do anything other than building. Your team will have a significant advantage over the enemy. It's also possible to kill players with this weapon if they have low health or if you freeze them plenty of times. I've done it a couple of times. It's very fun. It's not recommended. Anyway, have your weapon mag. 10 bullets, twice as much. Very nice. If you have a core, the range of this weapon is extremely huge, because the core shoots a ball that's affected by gravity, obviously. So if you aim a bit up in the sky, you can, I think the best distance you can reach is 100 meters, and a ball, when it explodes, it freezes anything in its range. So if there are like 4 or 5 players fighting each other, you pop the ball on them, they are all frozen. The freezing range is bigger than the range of the normal freezing shot, so make sure to use it when you get it. Second is the falling star. The falling star is it's an artillery weapon, pretty much. It shoots grenades, so I like to say, and it can shoot them at quite a range. If you have played games in the past where trajectory is important, you'll be used to calculating at what angle you will have to aim in order to hit the player, like across the hill or near the window of that building or whatsoever. This weapon will be your favorite if you're using things like that. This is quite high, power is extremely high as well. Stability is very decent. Rate of fire is very decent as well for a heavy weapon, provided the power it has. Cost 5 bullets, slap mag on it and you got 10. Now the core, is where the weapon shines. If you have a core and players are near you, press the core button, you will shoot 3 bullets. Now 3 bullets of this power, that's about 240 damage. So you can understand that if someone comes next to you, you should hit them with a core, they are instantly dead. They are gone. Second thing about it, since every bullet is a grenade, quantum materials are destroyed in pretty much one hit. If they pop up a first aid device, shoot one of this bullet and it's gone. They are crawling again. You can see how much this weapon dominates in every field when it comes to destroying things. So make sure to use it if you want to try heavy weapons. Now here we have the destroyer. This weapon is the same as the falling star, however it shoots lightning bolts. The physics, logic and gravity don't apply to this weapon. Every bullet homes into your target. For example, let's say you see a player 100 meters ahead of you, the player has not seen you yet. The player is moving a bit and you aim on the player. You shoot the bullet. Now the player decides to move 10 meters to the left. If that's a falling star, he would take minimal damage. However, with the destroyer, the bullet will aim on the player, since the moment you hit the fire button, it locked on the player. Now the trajectory of this thing is not that great. If the player moves a lot, it will not hit the player, but it will slightly still home in a direction. And 1 bullet is enough to kill a player without a shield. So it can be quite great. Secondly, it's great against vehicles. You can destroy vehicles in pretty much 1 shot, or 2, depending on the type of vehicle. If you got a heavy weapon mag on it, you will have 8 bullets as opposed to the 4 it had. If you have a core, it will fire 3 homing bullets. And 3, you have to understand, this thing does not a lot of damage on players when it is in close range. This weapon is ideal on long range. Close range is trash. Take the falling star if you want to use close range heavy weapons. Long range, take this. This shines in long range. It will do a lot of damage in long range. And it will destroy vehicle structures whatsoever with a core at long range. Make sure to use it when you can. And that's it for the weapons. If you have any questions, make sure to leave comments below, as we will move on to the next chapter. Alright, chapter 2, droid skills. Now before we get to droid skills, there's one thing you should know. If you are new to this game, you need to reach levels to unlock the skills. For example, shield wall is free, but all the older droid skills require levels after it. And you can see your level here. For example, I'm level 18, but that's the peak level. First you will reach the white levels, then you need to reach level 30 to unlock all the droid skills. Once you reach level 30, your account will pretty much prestige, and you can start over with the level things. Meaning, meaning that you can reach up to level 99, which will reach it again when a new season starts. But once you have reached all those levels, you will always start at a prestige level after you're done with the level 30 thing. So make sure to unlock level 30 ASAP, because the droid skills, they are the droid skills are very strong. They are game changers. Now every droid skill has a little video that shows its general use, so if you want to watch the videos, you will have to do it by yourself, unfortunately. I will, however, give a brief description about what each droid skill does and why it's important to use them, or a sample scenario. So let's start with the shield wall. Shield wall places a shield wall in front of you. The middle side is high enough to prevent you from getting headshot damage. The sides can be used to protect your body and you can shoot on other players. However, as you might notice, the middle shield has a small gap underneath. And through these gaps bullets can pass. You are able to shoot players at the feet through the gap and to kill them. It's possible. So make sure to try not to stand as close to the gap as possible. Play smart when you use it. If you are in close combat, for example someone's chasing you with a shotgun, you can place a shield wall and you will have at least some more way to protect yourself and some room to run away, to get out of his shotgun range and to kill him with your weapons. If you're getting lasered from all sides, you can quickly place shield walls around you in succession to make a little fort at quite a cheap price. Not as cheap as an actual fort. It's still 30 cubes per shield wall. That's not a lot, especially since you can stack them. You can place them between each other. You can place them behind each other. You can do a lot of creative things with the shield wall. So make sure to use it when you can. It's one of the best, honestly, even if it comes for free at level 1. Second. Okay, bush. Now this bush, it's not really usable. You can place a bush to hide behind it, but bullets can pass through it. It's honestly a waste of cubes. It's fun to do though, but that's about it. It will not give you advantages other than distracting other players. For example, thinking that you're hiding in a bush uphill while secretly you're rolling away downhill. That's about it. Manic Velocity. It's the only vehicle you can spawn with the droid skills. It costs 60 cubes, which is honestly not a lot for a getaway vehicle. It comes at full fuel, no matter what. And a good thing to know, important thing actually, is you can always only have one of this on the map. Now let's say you spawn a Manic Velocity for your teammate. Since you're with 4 people, none of you have a car, so you think I can create 2 motorcycles. You cannot. The moment you create a second Manic vehicle, it will place the first one to where you just created the second one. So it will be teleported. It will have full fuel and whatnot, but that's about it. So, while great as a getaway vehicle, or just a vehicle in general, it also has its downsides. Healing device. This is one of the most important abilities in this game. It only costs 45 quantum cubes. I honestly recommend all of you to use this. It's like it heals you to full health 3 or 4 times. Like it lasts about 20 to 30 seconds. Anyone in the range of your team will be healed. And that's it. You don't need as much bandages as you normally would, so you can like get more grenades, get more adrenaline, maybe more bullets or whatsoever, like get whatever the hell you want, because this thing will heal you and you can spam it pretty much. If it gets destroyed, just pop another one, it has no cooldown. Watchtower. This thing is 60 cubes, quite cheap, and it gives you high ground. Now the watchtower is generally used to avoid people at close range. For example, I'm sure you all have noticed this, when people engage each other in close range, there's always a couple of them that will pop up towers like a madman jumping all over the place. But that is because those towers can be very confusing and distracting. At the bottom you can crawl underneath it to have cover. At the top you will have a great overview of where the players are. Yeah, sorry, I cannot play right now. So, as in the towers, it will give you a great advantage on so many levels. It's a real, so make sure to use it whenever you can. Now, we have the monitor. This is kinda the thing that the robots always spawn. Like the little radar on the ground that turns around. What this does is it detects enemy footsteps and it highlights it on the map. Not a position, but that enemies are nearby. And it comes in ranges of intensity. The more intense it bleeps, it highlights, it whatever the hell it's doing, the closer the enemies are to the monitor, to the device, not to you, but to the device. So, let's say in a strategic situation, you are on a hill, right? On the hill near Mount Lonely. And you are watching Mount Lonely to make sure that the people that are there do not get close to the hill unless they want to die. However, your back is fully exposed from players from, for example, Echo Beach. Now, you will have to keep paying attention to the players on Mount Lonely. But if you have a monitor on the other side of the hill, the monitor will pay attention for you to the players from Echo Beach. If they decide to approach, you will see that the monitor is giving you signals that players are nearby, players are very close, players are pretty much on the monitor right now. So this thing will basically give you an extra set of senses. It's not accurate, but it will give you a fair amount of information regarding positions of other players. That's also why it is quite pricey. Now, as for how long this thing lasts, until it's destroyed or until you create the second one. I don't think this one has a timer. I've had it in games for like 3 to 4 minutes and it like was there the entire game. Like nothing destroyed it. So it's worth it. A 3. Now, just like a watchtower, a tree can give you a good advantage. It's easily destroyed, however, and it's not that pricey. It cannot be stacked on each other, that's the downside, but you can climb a tree. And it will give you a higher ground. You can hide in the leaves or you can move to glide, for example, across a river. But then again, I would recommend a watchtower for doing that, a tree. But that's it, the tree, that's all I can tell about the tree. It's not that useful, it's nice, it's the best thing I can tell you about it. Quantum barrier, this thing used to be a game changer. For me it was the best quantum skill, but it's no longer as effective as it used to be. It costs 90 cubes, so if you have a full inventory of cubes, 500 cubes, you can use this at best 5 times. That's it. It's a waste. Don't use it. It gives you a shield that's destroyed by literally any weapon in 2 or 3 bullets. For 90 cubes, it's not worth it. Go with something else. Don't look further into quantum barriers. Fire support is a great droid skill. It, as it says, gives you fire support. What it does is that it spawns your droid on your left shoulder, and every 2 or 3 bullets that you shoot, it will shoot an extra bullet. So let's say you have a Crusader, for example, and you are unloading your whole mag on the enemy. Instead of 40 bullets, you have actually shot around 60. Now, one important thing to note, it aims exactly where you aim. If you're going for headshots, that thing is going for headshots. If your bullet does, for example, 50 damage per bullet, this thing also does 50 damage per bullet. Now, it only works with SMGs and rifles. You can understand why it would not work with sniper. Pop a shot on the body with a soul snatch and it would be a guaranteed kill. That's not gonna happen. Only rifles and SMGs can use this skill. First aid device is one of the most popular droid skills in squads, because this thing automatically resurrects your squad mates or you. Now, do note that this only works when there is more than one player alive. If, for example, let's say you have 2 squad mates crawling, and the 4th squad mate is dead and you are the only one living. If you place this, the 2 crawling squad mates will be resurrected at full health. And they will have their things and also and they can just continue to fight. However, if you place this and you die, your squad is wiped. It always needs to have at least 1 person in the squad alive for it to work. Now let's say you are alone, your squad is somewhere else, you are at Voidlands, your squad is at Hayden Park and some old squad members in Angela, and the squad is approaching you. Now you decide to place the first aid device when fighting them. That's a great choice, because the other squad mates are still alive. That means that you can resurrect yourself with this first aid device. Unless, of course, they destroy it before you get resurrected, but it's about the ideas. Now, if you place a, for example, shield wall in front of it to give it some cover, so you can resurrect before they can destroy it, it means that you have basically 2 lives to fight against them. One thing that is important to note though is that this thing has a cooldown, just like the fire support and some other that I forgot to mention, and that you cannot resurrect yourself twice. I mean, I've had situations where I could resurrect myself twice with the same healing device or a first aid device, and sometimes I would instantly die when I was getting resurrected again, so I'm not exactly sure on how this works. The first resurrection is guaranteed. I don't know the logic behind second, third, or whatsoever. So let's say you get resurrected and your squad is together. Then make sure that another squad mate places a first aid device, because you can still get resurrected from their first aid device. Fort. This thing basically builds a fort around you, just like the image you can see. It looks exactly like that. It has a small ramp from which you can shoot in all directions. It only costs 50 cubes, so in combination with a watchtower it's a great thing. Because when you build multiple watchtowers and a bottom watchtower gets destroyed, all the other watchtowers get destroyed as well. However, the fort cannot get destroyed from it. I don't know if it's a bug or if it's intended, but you will have a floating fort in the sky. Now you can stack multiple forts upon each other, or you can build them next to each other. And that will give you like a very great advantage, height-wise. Destroy is a very interesting skill. It only costs 15 cubes, and you can shatter quantum materials instantly. It has a small range though, and it does not destroy everything, it only destroys a set amount of quantum materials. For example, if you have a fort, it will maybe destroy the wall fort, but if you have a fort and a shield wall inside, chances are quite high that one wall of the fort is going to survive, or that the shield wall is going to be intact. But then again, this skill is cheap, so you can spam it. Stealth Force is very expensive, but it's interesting. This thing places a beacon on the ground at a range of around 30 to 40 meters, and everyone within those range, I mean the range is like 20 meters and like the full width is about 40 meters, but everyone within that area will be stealthed and cloaked. The enemy will not be able to see you, to hear you. They can only see the beacon, and they can destroy the beacon if they want to. However, if you shoot from a stealth force field, you will become visible again. So be wary of that. It's great to ambush players, to surprise players, or simply if you are getting overwhelmed, you can place the stealth force. You can like play around a bit, hide around, jump around, and do whatever the hell you want to avoid the bullets and heal yourself in the meantime. If you get hit, you will not be immediately shown, but the players can see the hit marks and whatsoever, so they will be able to tell where you are, and that's when things will get nasty. Marker is a very useful droid skill, especially in squads, because this thing marks all the enemies in your vicinity for 10 to 15 seconds. Now let's say you're playing a game mode where for example, the map is already very small, such as intense fight. Everyone will be marked in there. Like, you can see all the players around you. And it's kind of like a soul snatcher. You can see people through the building, behind mountains or whatsoever. So it's great to reveal locations and positions. Optical camouflage is the same as stealth force, however, it only works on you and yourself. Like, you are the only person that will get stealthed. The only downside is you will have the droid above your head. So other people will see a floating droid moving around. But then again, the droid is not as huge as you are. So it's very pricey. But if you have cover, you can easily escape tense situations. Of course, same logic like stealth force. If you shoot, you are revealed. With the bush formula, you will become a bush. You can move around like a bush, and if you crouch, you will place yourself in the ground. So people think that you are just a normal bush. It's a great ability when it comes to stealth, but people can jump on you, and if they have been playing this game for a lot, they can distinguish you from other bushes. It's not that great, it's very interesting though. At lower ranks, it's one of the better abilities if it comes to survival. Shield formula is a honestly very great ability. It transforms you in a huge moving shield that will not take any damage at all. So let's say you and your 3 squad mates are taking heavy fire. You transform into the shield, you cover them, they can shoot back without taking damage. However, you move very slow with the shield formula, and you cannot fight back, you are just a meat shield. That's it. So, while great, it's slow, it has its pros and cons. But honestly, I think it depends on your team strategy whether this will be a viable method or not. Make sure to test it out though, it's a fun thing to play with. And lastly, we have the flight formula. Now this thing is very great in combination with certain weapons such as the falling star. For example, if you fly high in the sky and shoot with a falling star, you can land 3 to 4 bullets at the same time in the same position. That is like a guaranteed kill or destruction of a lot of quantum materials. So timing it wisely and doing things properly, you will have a great time with the flight formula. It can also serve as a great escape thing to fly away. You can easily cover a lot of distance with the flight formula. And if you combine this with the optical camouflage or stealth force field, they will not see you flying away. That's the best thing. They will not hear you either. So before they have destroyed the beacon of the stealth force, or they have discovered that you're no longer there, you will already be flying your way to survival. So it's a great thing for both offense and defense. That's it for droid skills. Make sure to check those skills out in the training mode. Each skill has its own advantage and disadvantage. Chapter 3, Vehicles. In this chapter I'll be talking about vehicles in general. Anyway, let's start with Dawnbreaker. It's known as the slow car because it has no ability to boost itself. If you hit the boost button, you can see it in the front a little bit. It brings out some rolling spikes. It's called a crescent blade wheel. It activates a huge, powerful wheel of blades off the front of your vehicle that crushes everything. And especially the last part of the sentence is important. You can destroy quantum materials, you can destroy trees without losing speed, and you can kill players in pretty much one hit. So driving over players with this thing out makes it quite amazing. However, the big drawback of this vehicle is the speed, as it is quite slow, and not just only that, it has a bad control overall. So while it gives you 4 seats total, so you can drive around with your whole squad, you won't be fast, you'll be easy target for people that know how to aim. But on the other hand, it has a lot of health compared to the other vehicles. Wind Rider is up next. This is probably my most favorite vehicle, simply because of the looks, and it has some nice skins as well. Anyway, skins aside, this is one of the fastest vehicles. You can only sit in this vehicle with 2 people, so it's perfect for duos, but if you're in a squad, 2 other players will have to find themselves another vehicle. The control of this car overall is quite great. With a boost you can reach very high speeds, making it a great vehicle for jumping across rivers and whatnot. So yeah, overall it's a great vehicle. The durability however is quite low. It can be destroyed with a couple of bullets. I mean, a couple is still like a full mag, but it's not as durable as the other vehicles. Next up we have Cowboy. It's a 4-seat vehicle that's also extremely fast. I think it's equally as fast as the Wind Rider, yes it is. And it's pretty much the same as the Wind Rider, however it's a 4-seat car. It has an open roof as you can notice, however the open roof does not make a difference as compared to the Wind Rider's closed roof. If you get damage, damage will be the same. The roof does not reduce damage. For example, take the Dawnbreaker, you can shoot players through the backside of the car and they will still take full damage. So don't be deceived by the open roof, it's a great vehicle, you can get around the map very fast with your whole squad. It can reach high speeds and its overall control is quite great. Next up we have Wind Chaser. It's the only motorcycle in game. It's quite fast, it has a lot of cons unfortunately. For example, if you try to jump with this vehicle and you angle a bit too high, you'll automatically leave the vehicle. Like you will exit the driver's seat. The passenger however will still stay on the vehicle. But you on the other hand will be falling down if you are jumping. Another issue is it's difficult to make turns with this thing. So if you have to make short turns, it will be tricky. It will be very tricky. With the cars, for example, you can pretty much drift around the map if you are used to driving cars in games. But with Wind Chaser that is no-go, it's not going to happen, it simply isn't. The other downside of this vehicle is going backwards. And I did not mention this with the other vehicles since they still have quite a decent speed driving backwards, but the Wind Chaser on the other hand, it's a motorcycle, so you will pretty much walk backwards with a motorcycle and the speed with that is extremely low. I mean it's faster than walking, but it's still so low that it's not worth it. But you cannot find this motorcycle on any map, I mean other than the training map. You have to create it with the quantum materials. If you go back to the chapter where I talk about quantum materials and droid skills in general, which is chapter 2, you will learn more about it. Also it's called manic velocity over there, so don't be deceived by the names. Lastly we have the Wave Chaser, which is the only boat in game so far. The Wave Chaser used to be one of the best vehicles out there, because in Season 3, 2 and maybe part of Season 4, it had the bug when if you use Nitro on land, it would be endless and you would reach high speeds, like you could travel across the land with a fucking boat. That's how amazing it was. However, they fixed this around Season 5, so right now it's just a boat. But it's a great boat, you can travel on the water. I mean it's not fast, but it's fast enough to get you across places. And you can bring a full squad. Now as you can see, this boat has 5 seats, meaning that you can possibly travel around with 5 players. I don't know if this is intended or not, but if your full squad is in the vehicle, they can still switch seats to the empty seat. So maybe you'll find an adventurous random person can join you guys. Anyway, it's a great boat. You can still make quite some distance on land if you plan to get it. However, the durability is quite low for a boat since the speed is also low. So if someone was shooting at you, just make sure to go to the coast ASAP or exit it before you get blown away. That's it about the vehicles. Chapter 4, Game Modes. In this chapter I'll be talking all about the game modes, because since it started with Battle Royale, it did not end up with only Battle Royale in the existence of Cyber Hunter. Right now there are a lot of available game modes. For example, the Battle Royale themed game modes exist of Classic Mode, Fire Sniper, 6 Forces Blitz and a Rapid Duel. Now, Classic Mode is divided in solos, duos or squads, in which you can change your tactic if you want to team up with random people. For example, if you have guerrilla tactics and someone has frontal and someone else has observe maneuver, the matchmaking will make sure that each team has at least one of the three in it. Sometimes it's possible that all of them are together, sometimes it's not. There are also teams where everyone is just guerrilla tactics. I'm not sure why though. I mean, it can be because the game thinks that if there are not enough of every tactic, then maybe it's prioritizing people over their general tactic. For example, 4 players thinking the same, it's going to produce some nice results. Anyway, I don't think anyone uses this, so don't bother. There's also a checkmark for auto squad mates. Now this is something that a lot of people have asked me questions about. When you uncheck this and you go into squads, for example yourself or 2 or maybe just 1 other player, then you will have a empty slot, and those empty slots will not be filled. When you check this option, you will get random people in your squad. So this is how I managed to do solo squads for the entirety of Season 6. Classic, it's simply just a Battle Royale survival. Like whether you're alone or in a full squad, last man standing or last team standing wins. You start out with roughly 100 players. Usually there are a lot of bots as well, so technically there's probably around 50 human controlled players, and the remaining numbers are made up of AI. Also, as you can see at the bottom, there's the option for training, room and versus spots mode. If you go training, you'll basically go to a shooting range with unlimited ammo, weapons, vehicles, quantum materials, so make use of that to test out some strategies and to test out everything else. At the room, you can create a private room where you can hold, for example, a tournament or play with friends, test out things. It's your room, your rules. In order to create a room, you need this, the custom room card. Usually you get a few with season passes or for free, I'm not sure. But they are very hard to get, so don't waste them if you got them. And as for the last on the bottom icons, we have versus spots mode. This comes in a lot of modes, 5 tiers. Simple, standard, hard, master and insane. Now you can do this solo, you can do this multiplayer, you can do solo in multiplayer, whatever the hell you desire. This is honestly a great training if you're new to the game. Start out with, if you're completely new to mobile or PC gaming, especially the Battle Royale theme, start out with simple. The bots are very not accurate, you can stand in front of them and they will not hit you, it's terrible. But that will give you a lot of time to get adjusted to it and to test your aim as well. At standard they will be a bit more accurate, Like, once in a blue moon, their bullets will hit you. At hard, they will be a lot trickier. They will be more accurate. And I think this is here when they start putting up shield walls and whatnot. Master, they are a lot more dangerous. They will be very accurate. They will hit you. And they will move around. They will try to build, I mean, to what they are capable of, which is just shield walls, bushes, and I think the radar thingy. At the end, Insane is honestly difficult. Even for me, it's difficult because they do not miss a bullet. There are places where they can shoot through walls, whereas you cannot, or through hills, so you will not see the bot and the bot will be killing you. If you take 3 bullets from the bot, you are dead. That's it. They also need like 2 bullets to destroy quantum material, so the only way to win Insane game modes is by seeing the bot before it sees you and killing it instantly, as fast as you can. Now there are some other things that you can abuse here technically to also get the victory at Insane mode. For example, height. Bots are not good against height, so if you are on a higher ground than they are, unless it's a hill, they will not be able to hit you. And there are a lot of more things, but you should check it out by yourself. It's honestly a great game mode to master this game and to stand a fair chance in Battle Royale. I think if you can beat Insane mode, you can probably make it past Diamond D rankings in standard Battle Royale. Because Insane is comparable to players in Legendary Bear, or better, depending on their luck for winning games. So, Fire Sniper, it's also a great game mode. It's all about snipers. You cannot find any other weapon than a sniper in here. This is also the only place where you can get the Executioner Sniper. It's exclusive to this game mode. It's a very great sniper as well. In this game mode you will notice that a lot, and I repeat, a lot of players use Valkyrie and anti-coffin. That's because they can spray with it, and I think they will have an advantage by spraying. But a high damage long range weapon is a lot better, trust me on that. So, full squads, snipers. Also, at best there will be only 40 players in the game. So an average game lasts about 10 minutes, whereas classic lasts about 20 minutes. So it's quite quick, not that quick though, but still fairly decent. If you die, you are a goner. 6 Forces Blitz is also a very interesting game mode, where, as you can see, a max of 24 players are in the game, divided into 6 squads. Now this has some very interesting rules, because when you die you will respawn. There's a respawn timer that increases with each death you have. For example, the first time you die it's about 8 seconds to respawn, after that it's 15, then it's like 30 or 40, and it's a minute, and honestly I've never seen anyone respawning past the minute marker. So you might be wondering to yourself, if everyone can respawn, how will you win? That's simple. Wipe out an entire squad. That is how you win in this game mode. Just kill a squad and they're gone. The entire squad is gone. Even if he was going to respawn in like 1 second, but the last teammate did not live that 1 extra second, they will be wiped out. And that is also how this game mode works. There are a lot of weapons in the maps. There's also supply drops. There can be Crusaders on tables, like special tables, where you can find a lot of upgrades, so be sure to check every table you encounter. If you don't know what I'm talking about, when you spawn in 6 Forces Blitz, you and your team do not fly down, you get... your team will be placed next to a table, actually 2 tables, with each having unlimited ammo and a certain set of weapons to choose from as a starter. This is just to get you and your team started. After that you can loot. There are also some random tables like this that have upgrades, for example level 3 boots, helmets, gloves, etc. Crusaders, adrenalines, and more nice things. So if you see a table, be sure to check it out. It can be a game changer. And other than tables, this also has supply drops, just like Fire Sniper. The supply drops are very overpowered. You can find so many good things in there. It is almost guaranteed to have something good. So you'll see a lot of players fighting for those. Anyway, a great strategy for 6 forces is to eliminate all the players at start. Like, just get about 100 bullets and start killing players to get the respawn timer for them up. Meaning that they will have less people in the field. Another strategy that I use for this is to eliminate the players that are upgraded. Because when you... Like, you have to understand the first basic. There are 24 players in a map. Now the map is... It's a closed circle, like it's already a very small circle. And there are buildings and other places where people can loot items. So if someone dies with those items and they respawn, the items will be removed from the game. They will not be on the floor unless you looted them and dropped them. Meaning that you can pretty much push players into having bad equipment by killing the players that have good equipment and leaving it there, unless you plan to upgrade yourself, which is fine. So prioritizing players with upgrades, that's an A+ strategy. Lastly, for Battle Royale, we have the Rapid Duel. This is... I mean, the mode intro, that's great. This is fast-paced 8-minute showdown. It's thrilling fight for survival. It really is, like, this is an adrenaline pumping game mode. There are like only a couple of players in the game. I think it was between 30 and 40, I'm not sure about that. In terms of players, it was quite similar to Fire Sniper. And like every spot where you can get weapons will be loaded with weapons. It will be loaded with ammo as well. This is like, the game is like, here, take a bunch of ammo, take a bunch of weapons and kill each other. There is no respawning here. If you're dead, you are gone. Simple as that. However, there is an extra weapon in here called the Interstellar Lieutenant, which is quite a strong rifle. Not the best though, but it's an interesting rifle. It is exclusive to this game mode and I think a couple of others. So if you want to play with a weapon against actual players, test it out in here. It's great. Also, since all of those 4 are Battle Royale themed game modes, you can gain and you can lose ranks by winning or losing. So be cautious when you enter them. It's cool to try it out, but if you're bad at it and you want to rank up badly, make sure that you have at least a general knowledge about the game before you head into those with like a competitive mindset. Second category, Faction Showdown. Now as you can see, there are 3 icons you can choose from, however system's choice, that is not really an option. It simply picks a random one between Squad Assault and Random Annihilation. Now Squad Assault is a very nice game mode. It's honestly my go-to warming up game mode. Because this is very simple, it's a team deathmatch. I think it was 25 or 30 kills that the team needs to get. Once the team reaches those amount of kills, they will win. Unless the timer runs out. If the timer runs out for some reason, then the team with the most kills will have fun. This is a 4 versus 4 kind of game mode, where each team has a fixed spawn point. This game mode also brings its own map. It is a unique map. I don't think we can... oh, we can see it. Like, both game modes have this map that it can choose. Misty Swamp and Daylight Harbor. And the topmost rectangle and the bottommost rectangle are the spawn points for both themes. And the same thing applies here. One thing that is important to know though is that you cannot climb here. You can just jump on boxes, that's it. There's also no ability to glide, so you can just roll in the sky at best to cover some distance. There is however auto healing in here. If you get damaged and you wait a certain amount of time without taking any damage, you will heal over time automatically, as if you were using bandages, or rather spamming bandages. There's also no ability to pick up weapons, and that is because of this button, the battle preparation. You can choose your own weapons. Of course it's limited, like not everything is in here, but this is the only game mode where you can play with an alpha. I strongly suggest to not do that because it's trash. But yeah, you can play with any rifle and SMG. Of course some of the options are missing though. It's not that complete, but it's because of balancing. It needs to be balanced. And honestly right now it is very balanced. If you know what you like or what weapons you're good with, you will have a blast in here. You can also pick your own scope. For example, if I for some reason want to go with a red dot, I'll spawn with the red dot. If I want to go with a 6 scope, I'll go with the 6 scope. You cannot remove the core of the mag, which also is great in my opinion, not going to lie here. So yeah, it's very great that you can choose your own things. Now the second option here, or rather the third option here, is Random Annihilation. Random Annihilation is exactly the same as Squad Assault, however, it has a little catch. Do you remember that the top and the bottommost parts are the spawn points for each team? In Random Annihilation that is not the issue. Like in Random Annihilation, you spawn at random places in a map. And of course there are fixed spawn points, and after playing plenty of game you will memorize them easily because there are not that many spawn points. But that means that all the teams are scattered over the map, so you will not know if it was just a teammate that spawned behind you when you hear the footsteps. So you will be extra cautious. Other than that, the quota for winning is also a bit high. You need to get 40 kills with your team in order to win, or lose for that matter. And finally we have casual mode. This is just casual. This is very relaxing. It's simple, it's basic, it's nice. Get the weapon, kill enemy, that's it. First of all, we have the Vantage Point Battle game mode. In the mysterious ruins of Dreamland, 16 players from 4 squads will scramble for the key vantage points. As members of either the red or blue team, use your skills wisely and cooperate with your squad to defeat your opponents. To be crowned victor, a faction must reach 100% charge before the other faction. Now, as you might have guessed by the name, it's all about points, Vantage Point Battle. There are, I think there was a singular point on the map, whereas if you stand there with your team long enough, or just you will start gaining percentages. You'll start gaining points for your team. And once you reach 100 points, your team will have won. You will also be able to speed up the process of gaining points by holding it for a certain amount of time. For example, if the enemy team has not been able to take over the point base, then you will start to gain a boost, which I think it increases it by 2 times speed. Not exactly sure about that, but overall you will win faster. Now there's a little catch here. You cannot choose your weapons. I think you could pick up you can pick up weapons of dead players, but they respawn quite quickly. Every time you respawn, I mean not just respawn, every time the game starts you will be able to choose one out of the 4 classes. Each class will have a certain set of weapons and droid skills that you cannot choose or change. So if you get, for example, stuck with a class that you do not like, you'll have to play with it the entire game. If you respawn, you will just respawn with the same things. Lastly, we have Super Fight. Super Fight is a massive, well, it's quite a big team deathmatch because it's multiple squads versus multiple squads. 8 players versus 8 players, that's what it comes down to. And each team is trying to get the points by killing other team enemies. At the spawn points you have your own weapons to choose from. You also get a red dot. And on the map there are certain points that heal you. And certain points where you can get weapons or upgrades or anything else for that matter. So honestly it's a very relaxing game mode since you don't have to worry about supply drops or whatsoever. In here you can also find a Lieutenant Interstellar, and this weapon is not the best in this game mode, but if you want to play with it, be my guest. I think the rarest weapon here to find is a Sentinel, which also spawns at the same rate as a Interstellar Lieutenant. So definitely make sure to check out the spawn points if you go into this map. This also has a exclusive map only for this game mode, a singular map, which you will not encounter in any of the other game modes. In this map there are basically, just like the other, like the Victory Showdown, there are basically 2 sides where you can spawn at. Either if you're at Team Red or Blue, you'll spawn at either the top or the bottom of the map. And one thing to note here is that you cannot go into the opposite camp. Like if you try to enter the spawn point of the enemy's team, you will get insta-killed. I think it's a punishment kind of system to prevent spawn camping. Like Faction Showdown, you have a little immunity shield until you shoot bullets. I think that's the Super Fight's countermeasure for it. So yeah, that's Super Fight. It's pretty straightforward. It's just killing enemies with your favorite weapon and that's it. Chapter 5. Maps and spawn points. In this chapter we'll be talking about all the maps in Cyber Hunter. The one you can currently see is Dreamlands. Most of the game modes, including the classic Battle Royale, make use of this map. So if you want to master the game, getting familiar with this map is going to be your first step. Anyway, let's start with the first map, Dreamlands. At least that's what the game calls it. Now, as you can see, this map has a lot of places with names already. One city that has no name though is this place. It's called Vera City. In the extra game modes you will eventually learn the name of it, but for now I will just make sure that we do not forget it. Let's go with a tiny, and even tinier size. Vera City, alright. Let's make it white and add a quick stroke to it. The stroke can be smaller. Yeah, it's almost the same as all the other names. Like very close. Good effort. A+. Alright, Vera City. Anyway, most of the cities that you can see on here are like, they have a name for a reason. Any place with a name is honestly a great place to land with a squad or just alone. However, you should know that not every place is a good place to land. For example, Zora Island. That's the place where you kinda wait on before getting on the aircraft. And this place is an area that has no loot. So you can try to land on here, but you will not find anything. So definitely do not go to Zora Island. It can be fun, but it's not worth it. You are not going to find anything over there. Now some of the places that are like very good spots to land, I will give them a green circle, a very vibrant green. These places have like a lot of buildings, and not only just buildings, but they usually have a vehicle or multiple vehicles nearby, so that you can quickly travel away in case you have a terrible starting place as opposed to the circle. And a lot of buildings means in general a lot of loot, since most buildings are pretty much guaranteed to have at least one weapon and some sort of upgrade, whether it's an armor or a scope. So let's highlight the places that are good to land. Now I'm zooming in so you can see that this place has a ton of buildings. It's called Sawmill. Sawmill is honestly a great starting place. In the center of Sawmill, or rather this place there, it's a high building. So if you land on there and work your way down, you have a high ground in case enemies are nearby and you can easily kill them. Mount Lonely is another great place. It's a very interesting place to say, because the center has a circle with a guaranteed free chest, and as you can see there are roughly 3 circles. The inner circle, the middle circle and the outer circle. Now this here is the outer circle, this is the middle one, and this is the center one. In the center one you will find the most chests and weapons, like you are guaranteed to have something to fight with if players land there. In the second circle you will find around 2 chests, and in the third circle there's a chance to find up to 2 chests. So best case scenario, you can get up to 7 in like this tiny circle, like the third circle. But that's not all. Mount Lonely has tiny buildings nearby and tiny villages that are very easy accessible. There's a car always on this side that you can take, whether it's a slow or a fast one, and you will be able to get a shit ton of loot. It's definitely worth landing there if you are in a full squad. Now we have Wonder Lake is interesting. It's not that good honestly for a squad. For solos it's great, go there. Eagle Hillock is kind of the same as Wonder Lake, so we are not going to talk too much about those. Angela is another popular place. Kinda have to go through the name there, since the places in the green circle are where you're going to find supplies. The green dot is where you are going to find the car. Oh, and for Sawmill, if you want a car, it's over there. So yeah, this is where you're going to find the car, guaranteed. There are also other car spawns, but these are like next to the villages. Let's make this a dot as well. So at Angela there are a lot of buildings. Most of them have multiple floors. There are some smaller buildings though, that have like one weapon, one armor or some ammo, those kind of things. And there are some larger buildings that are around this area. Now if you are going to land there with a squad, be prepared to face off against at least 2 other squads, because Angela is an extremely, and I repeat, extremely popular place to land. Most people go there, grab a weapon and just move around to kill the remaining players that are looking for their first weapon. So yeah, great place honestly. It can be a very tactical place since you have a lot of ground and a lot of places to use as cover. So yeah, great place in general. Columbus is the same kind of situation as Eagle Hillock and Wonder Lake. Like, in solos it's okay, squads, it's tricky, because there are multiple cars nearby. However, you will have looted the entire place in less than a minute if you're with the full squad. So honestly not worth it. Super Bloom is probably the most interesting place on the map for squads, because it has 3 large windmills. The one over here, the one over here, and the one over here. And it has a car, like, let's see, like there's a car around this cross point, guaranteed. And you can find a car, I think it was over here, near the dirt road. And once in a blue moon you can find a car over here as well. However, the distances between the windmills are quite huge. Each windmill also has an upper section like the windmill itself that's filled with loads and loads of supplies. On top you will have always a chest, and like distributed throughout the height of the windmill you will find various items. On the bottom of the windmill there's also a tiny platform with buildings and such. Great to quickly go through and to move on to the next windmill. If you have a full squad, it's pretty much recommended to have at least one person going to each windmill. If you notice that multiple squads are going there, then definitely go with at least two people per windmill. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of interesting places near Super Bloom as well. So technically it's a great place, like you will get geared right off the bat. And you can quickly move to, for example, near the beach over there. Or you can go to this place, or to the platform on the water here. You can loot this area. Like, there are a lot of places that you can go to if you go to Super Bloom. That's all well within range. So honestly, a great place to go to. Next on we have Hayden Park. Hayden Park has been my favorite landing place for quite some time. Because for solo squads it's great, like honestly it's perfect. For squads it's great as well. You have a lot of places that you can loot. You have a large building over here, you have a large building over here. Both have chests on the higher floors that you can only reach with a tower or when you are gliding down. My personal strategy is to go to the chest on top of here and then glide to this building so you can get the chest over there and then jump down floor so you can loot the entire area. Talking about chests, like this place here is great for one person to be fully geared. Then you have like an area over here, same story, area over here, same story, and over here including the tiny island, same story. So Hayden Park is perfect to get 4 people fully geared. It's not a popular place, so the chances of you encountering another squad are quite low. However, if you are playing solos, then the chances of you encountering another player are quite high. So be cautious about that. That being said, Hayden Park is very nice and all, but right a little bit below we have Fort City. And Fort City is extremely popular. It's kinda like Angela, but not in the desert or a dry place. There is a ton of vehicles here. The same thing for Hayden Park, like at a parking lot which is currently in circle, which is here. There are always 3 vehicles. And at Fort City, near the parking lot, you can find a vehicle over here, you can find a vehicle over here. And those are for the vehicles in range, like the other ones are here and around here, and then you have here. But those are a bit too far. Anyway, Fort City has a lot of buildings. Most buildings are divided over multiple floors. You do have some tiny buildings in between, but as you can see, it's a ton of buildings. So it's enough to get at least 1 squad fully geared, maybe 2 squads geared quite mediocrely-ish. But yeah, Fort City, great place. Usually people that go to Fort City go straight to Hayden Park if they're clearing Fort City to see if there are players at Hayden Park. So if you are at Hayden Park or Fort City, prepare to be ambushed from either side. Next on we have the Desert Mine. The Desert Mine is quite a large area. The most popular place to loot and to quickly sweep through is just this tiny section. But in the bigger circle you can still find great loot. There's also plenty of vehicles nearby actually. You have a guaranteed vehicle near here. One that's a bit farther, it's here, like it's close to Fort City, close to the Desert Mine, kind of that one. Then you have one over here. So you quickly get a vehicle to move across Dreamland, so to say. Honestly, great place to loot. If you plan to loot here, make sure to land on top of this building. or this one, either way doesn't matter. Both are on the highest level and then work your way down, so you are not wasting any time by climbing buildings. Now both of these buildings are on a platform, and this entire area in a small circle are quite on high ground. The area over here, let's make a small circle as well, it's on low ground. So what you can do is glide from tiny circle 1 to tiny circle 2 and loot that area as well quickly, because this place can be looted in a couple of minutes with a full squad, so it's not worth it to waste too much time over there. Next on we have Leopard Swamp. Leopard Swamp is very tiny, but it's still very noteworthy for the map, because this place here is a huge robot, and I repeat, it's a huge fucking robot. Inside the robot there are 4 chests, and outside of the robot you can find another 4 chests. There's an arm over here, like this place here has an arm of the robot on top of which you can find a chest. Around this area here outside, behind the robot, you can find a chest or 2. And near the buildings over here you can find multiple chests as well. It's usually 2 next to each other, so a total of 8 chests spread in such a small area. It's honestly great to get a 1 squad fully geared. Also it's great for 2 squads as well. You have guaranteed 1 vehicle around this area and another vehicle around that area. Or maybe a bit close to the deserted mine, I'm not sure. So you've got 2 vehicles in Leopard Swamp, a lot of supplies. It's a great place to get started at. Now we'll skip Grey Ridge. It has a lot of loot, like this is the looting area, but for each place it has a tiny fraction of loot. For example, look at Fort City, it's very concentrated with loot. Like small building upon small building upon small building. In Grey Ridge, however, it's like small building, a wide open area, and then again a couple of small buildings, and that's how it goes for the entire place. That being said, if you land there, and you land at a unfortunate building, you will get destroyed, because someone else might have got an unlucky building. So technically your chances of surviving in Grey Ridge if someone else lands are quite low. That's why it's not a mention-worthy city for landing. Next on we have Liviaport. Liviaport is also quite a condensed place. You have some vehicles over here that you can take. There is also a car here, very funnily enough. And there is a boat over here. Hayden Park also has a boat near here, which I forgot to mention. And okay, the boat is over here in Hayden Park. And Liviaport has a lot of buildings that can be looted through multiple floors as well. It also has some interesting working stations, or so to say. Workplaces, I don't know what it's called. Anyway, there's like a huge building over there that has loot across multiple places. And then there is a hanging container over there, which always has a chest on top of it. So Liviaport is a great place to get geared. Honestly, like just check it out, it's an amazing place. You have a lot of vehicles and a lot of loot. It's quite popular as well, so the chances of you encountering another squad there is quite high. But yeah, that's Liviaport. Let's move on to Pumpkin Town. Pumpkin Town is... it's a great place. But it's a very interesting place because... technically this is Pumpkin Town, alright? Most people go through this when they go to Pumpkin Town, because the place over here also has a lot of supplies. You can find a small tower over here. There are cars like here, let's see, around here should be a car, and near wheat fields around here. So no matter where you go, you can get a vehicle quite quickly, and the chances of having a fast one are quite high as well. Loads of buildings, so that makes it a popular place for multiple squads to land at actually. if you go here, chances are quite high that there is another squad going here as well. So next on we have wheat fields, but I don't think wheat fields is mention worthy. Just like Grey Ridge, it has a lot of good supplies, but they are spread over too much land. This is the area of wheat field, and as you can see, not many buildings, just in between, so now and then some buildings. There are floating supplies on the fields though. That makes up for a lot, but they are not enough to give you enough cover or time to find gear to survive against other players. Vera City, on the other hand, is a extremely popular place. I think this is the most popular place in the entire game for landing. You are guaranteed to have another squad here when you land here. Vera City has a lot of buildings. It also has a lot of vehicles as well that are all parked over here. And Vera City is near a bridge, which you unfortunately cannot see on the minimap, but I mean, it's quite obvious that this is a bridge. But what it does not show you is that the bridge here is quite high. You can get an extremely high ground. I think it's about 100 meters high, if not higher, like a tiny bit higher, from which you have a full overview over Vera City and over this place as well. Like with the rifle, if you are on top of this bridge, your effective range with a, let's say you have a 6 times, is this, which is quite huge. That is what you can see, and most likely what you can hit if you are accurate. So it's a very advantageous place to go to. There's also a tower over here nearby, from which you can pretty much hit anywhere in Vera City. So if you see a lot of players there, you don't want to engage at close range, then just take over this little tower and snipe them or fire them with a rifle, like whatever floats your boat. It's honestly a great place. You'll have a lot of loot, like a lot of loot and loads of other good stuff, such as upgrades. And the chances of you having a maximized weapon after visiting Vera City is quite high as well. That being said, usually Vera City is looted within a couple of minutes, because most squads spread out. For example, the first squad decides to land around this place, second squad decides to land around this place, and third squad here. Sometimes you have some stray people going here. Now let's say all those people loot in 1 minute. Right, so in 1 minute all portions are looted. They face off each other, and the people you loot are technically the areas you've looted as well. So Vera City will get you geared very quickly if you are able to survive. Next on we have Campsite, and Campsite is honestly a underappreciated place. On the minimap it looks quite bland and boring, but it has a lot of buildings with a ton of supplies. The supplies are quite in close range of each other as well. There's only a handful of chests that you can find in here, but there's also always vehicles nearby that you can grab. There should be one around here, and either here or here, I'm not sure which intersection it was. Anyway, 2 vehicles guaranteed within vicinity. And yeah, it's a great place. That's all I can say about Campsite. Like, no one's going there, so check it out. Definitely go there. Next on we have Voidlands. Now, I would like to refer to Voidlands as the first part and the second part. Actually, let's include these pieces as well. Or actually, yeah, Voidlands is like, it's great. It's big. Let's say this is the first part. Let's go for the Romans. And this is the second part. So usually if you land at Voidlands, one squad goes, usually part 1 and the other squad usually goes part 2. Part 2 is the most popular place though, because you have a lot of supplies like very close to each other. You don't need to travel or glide a lot in order to get at least a starting weapon. Whereas in part 1 there are more supplies, but they are more spread out, so you will have to cover more ground. What usually happens, the squad at part 1 is almost done gearing, while the squad at part 2 is already done gearing, so the squad at part 2 engages the squad of part 1. And this can be done in many ways. So if you are at part 1, make sure to pay attention if there are people on the other part and if they are planning to ambush you or not. Now there are a lot of vehicles nearby as well. For part 1 you always have a vehicle over here. Then there's a vehicle in between the parts that's there. And you have a vehicle that's always exclusively for part 2. Within the range you can also find a boat that's chilling over here, which you can take if you have to cross the river. But what I usually do is I check one of the 3 locations to get the quick car, and with the quick car I usually drive from here, jump over the hill here, boost myself across the lake to land around here. And that way, when you cross the river, you still have a vehicle to quickly move, whereas the boat will not get you far on land. And for all Voidlands, it's quite a general place. You can go everywhere on the map very easily. Like, it's on the very right edge of the map. Well, not exactly edge, but you know what I mean. It's on the right part of the map. You can quickly get to Vera City. You can also quickly get to Wonder Lake, or maybe even Mount Lonely, or like you can go to this area. There are a lot of places that you can move to quickly. And the good thing about this is, once you cross the river, most of the areas are flat. That means that you can hit high speeds with your car. Which also means that you can reach, for example, Angela in under a minute for Voidlands. If you land good and if you fly good, that is. So Voidlands, one of my favorite places. Like, it's tied to Hayden Park for me personally. And lastly we have Echo Beach. Echo Beach is not worth going to in squads. It's a good place for solos, but not for squads. There's a very limited amount of loot over there. So don't bother going there with a squad. So now, as you can see, there are a lot of places of interest, and if you still have been listening to me, I've been talking for a long ass time, because all of those places that you can currently see are great for landing in squads. They're also good for landing in solos. But for solos, like let's say you are not squad dependent, then there are some other places that might be interesting. The currently green places, they are great, they are definitely great. But the places that I'm going to highlight now, they are the places that are optional for squads. It's not recommended, but they are great for solos. This place over here comes with the boat and a car. The boat is either on here or either on here. There's a car on this side as well. Plenty of supplies to get maybe even a full duo geared. Echo Beach is perfect for solos or duos, like it's a great place. So definitely check it out if you are alone. And purple places are not popular as well, so your chances of looting in peace are quite high as well. Now this tiny place over here also has a car. It has a couple of buildings, so it's great to get started and geared if you are soloing. And from there you can pretty much travel across the entire map to get to better places and maybe even kill players for the loot. Wonderland makes it to the list of places to land as a soloer. Maybe even like in squads, optionally, if you saw plenty of people going to, for example, Super Blue or Mount Lonely, and you don't know where to go since you're already flying, go to Wonder Lake. It's good enough as a secondary option. Then there's also this little beach over here, which has, I mean, it has a boat, definitely. It has a vehicle near there as well. There's a vehicle over here which you can kind of use for on the lake or not. And there are a lot of buildings in there as well that you can check out. Let's see, interesting places. I think wheat fields is great for solos or duos. If you land like around here and then work your way through the remainder of wheat fields, you'll be good. You'll have plenty of gear and plenty of cover to survive fights and whatnot. Now, a less popular place, I don't think anyone has ever gone there or bothers to go there, but sometimes you have a very annoying flight path. For example, one that goes like this, with this side as starting place. Now, or this one. Now, if you know that the circle is going to be around this map, this place is great to land. Like, you will get geared and you can move over to Pumpkin Town without being afraid of fighting against people that are geared. So the place is worth checking out. It's honestly a great place. Like, you can find plenty of loot to gear one player. It's not good for duos or for squads, it's an optional place. Greenwich also makes it to this list, because it's great when you land as a player in like the dead center, which is around here. You'll have around 3 or 4 buildings with a vehicle nearby, which you can use to loot, and it has enough things to get one player started. Maybe even a duo if you are quick and spread out a bit, but for one player it's definitely recommended. Next on we have this little town. It has a lot of buildings. It's also a great secondary option if you are in a full squad. If you are lucky, it can get a full squad geared, so definitely check it out if you have no other options left. Same thing applies to this area. It's not the best, but it can get a full squad geared. For solos it's perfect, for squads it's an okay alternative. And then we have the place over here. For squads also a great alternative, for solos perfect, just go there, you're set. And then we have Columbus over here. Columbus also, same story as the previous ones, great as a secondary option for squads. Perfect for solos. It has vehicles nearby, like this place here has a vehicle, I think it has a boat over here as well. This place has a vehicle over here. This place has this vehicle actually. And Columbus has a vehicle over here and a vehicle over here. So it's 2 vehicles. So make sure to check those places out if you're in a squad. It's interesting. You will be satisfied with the gear you can find in a short amount of time. Now this place here, it's quite huge. And you can get started here and then move over to here where the crashed plane is, or vice versa. There is a potential vehicle spawn point which I think it was near this dirt road or it was near that dirt road, I'm not too sure about that. No, I remember it was around here because you can have a resurrection point there. It was near the resurrection point. Anyway, it's a great for duos or solos, not for squads. Definitely do not go there if you are with a squad, or your squad will be pissed. Eagle Hillock is great for duos, perfect for solos. I also do not recommend going there in squads. It's not enough to get everyone geared. So this is the map now. Purple is honestly my secondary option for landing, and green is my primary option for landing. Purple is not recommended for squads, but it's perfect for solos or duos. Green is like the perfect landing place, but because of that reason alone, it's a very crowded place. So if you go to the green areas, be prepared for ambushes or other players in your vicinity. If you decide to go to a purple place, then you can loot a piece pretty much. However, if the purple place is near a green place, then once again prepare for ambush, because most people that are at the green area will move straight to the closest purple area to get the finishing touches of what they are having, or to get the upgrade they are looking for. Or maybe they went to Angela, did not find the scope they wanted, so they move on to Columbus. It kind of goes like that. So yeah, I hope this information about Dreamlands was enough to get you started. There are also like a lot of interesting places where you can have resurrection points, aka places where if you have picked up the chip of your teammate, you can resurrect them at those places. Those are random per game, but they have set spawn points. For example, let's use blue. There can be a resurrection point over here, 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 you have one at campsite, we got one at Voidlands, we got one at Echo Beach. Oh, that's a bit more to the left actually. Yeah, there was one here, on that side. Then we have near Mount Lonely. I have to look very carefully. I think the... Oh, it was on the road, it's around there. You have one at Wonderland. Eagle Hill had one in the dead center, if I recall correctly. Sawmill had one. There's one over here. This place has one. Hey, the park has one over here. Fort City, I think it was at this side of the road. Okay, I'm going to mark this in yellow because I'm not sure about those anymore. But I suppose there was one near Olivia Port. Oh wait, there was definitely one near Quarry Ridge. I remember. This one is at Quarry Ridge. And I don't recall ever seeing one at Deserted Mine. But if there is one, it should be around there. Like going with the logics. Anyway, as you can see, a lot of blue dots. Blue dots are guaranteed positions where a resurrection point can be. Yellow dots are places I cannot exactly recall having one, so don't quote me on it. That's what it technically means. But usually in a game there are between 4 to 8 resurrection points. I'm not sure about the exact number. However, they are divided over the blue points. So there's a chance that you will have 2 resurrection points nearby in Vera City. And there is... oh wait, I forgot one. Oh my gosh. There's also a chance that you will have 2 nearby in Voidlands. Or maybe even 3 or 4. Like, I've had games where almost all the resurrection points were near Voidlands. It happens, it's possible. Super Bloom also has a resurrection point. Now, I'm not sure about Columbus now. I think there should be one over there. But yeah, anyway, these are the points that I'm very sure of. So as you can see, if you plan to land at a place, it might be wise to take a place, a city that has a resurrection point. For example, your teammate gets destroyed. You can quickly revive him after destroying the one that killed him. That being said, there will be still plenty of loot that he can take. And you will not waste time traveling to a different city in order to resurrect your teammate. Only downside is that the spawn points get chosen after pretty much every player is landed. Like, once the aircraft is done flying, that's when you will know the circle. And I think that's also when you will know the spawn points. But yeah, Like if you see this map, for example, if you are going to Void Lands, you know that the chance of having a resurrection point nearby is quite high. Same thing applies to, for example, Force City or Avera City for that matter. So yeah, definitely go take these points into consideration for when you are going to choose a place to land it. Of course, these things don't matter if you're going to play on a solo, so don't worry about them. But if you are in squads, then it does matter. Also, Hayden Park has another point which I forgot to highlight, which is there. It's on a platform. So yeah, I think this is the full map. So once again, to summarize, green places definitely recommended to land at. Chances of having enemies are quite high. Green dots are possible. I mean, they are guaranteed places to find a vehicle, whether it's a boat or a car. Purple circles are great alternative options, mainly used in solos or duos. Purple dots are once again spawn points for cars or boats. Blue dots are optional places for resurrection things, where you can revive your squad mates when needed. Do know that it's not always all the blue points, but just a select few of them. The selection is random. The yellow dots are resurrection points that I'm not sure of. I don't recall seeing them too often to have memorized them. So yeah. I'm very sure that I have forgotten some resurrection points because quite frankly there are a lot. The ones that I've marked are the ones that you will most likely be using though, so don't worry about it. So that's it for the first map, Dreamlands. Now we are going to talk about the extra maps in Cyber Hunter. Squad Assault and Random Annihilation have their own two maps, Misty Swamps and Daylight Harbor. So let's first talk about Misty Swamps. In Misty Swamps, if you're playing in Squad Assault, the players' teams will either spawn here or here. Oh my gosh, what is this? Or there. So Team A goes... Why can I not draw over here? Team A goes here. And Team B goes there. They always respawn in there. It's impossible to glide or climb. However, there are tiny boxes that you can use in order to get a higher ground. Boxes are here, 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 here. Like, I think by this point you can tell where I'm going. So by using those boxes you can climb on top of the containers and you will have higher ground. You can do jumps and rolls, like in a combination, to jump from one place to another on the containers. But that's not all. Like, at the containers on top, I don't know if it's still possible, but you could climb on the boxes on top of there as well. I do not recommend that. I just suggest using the boxes as covers. I've noticed that some people are capable of doing some interesting maneuvers to get on top of here, like from there. Don't know how they actually pull it off, so I'm not going to include it, but it's possible for as far as I can tell. Anyway, that's all there is to Misty Swamp. Not really much to talk about actually. From a strategic point speaking, each plot is like, it's a symmetrical map. Kinda, though. For example, both sides have a car that you can use as a shield, which is easily destroyed, so don't do that. They have boxes, they have like one container placed horizontally and others vertically. but they also have containers through which you can run. The containers that you can go through are this one, this one, this one, and this one. So you can use them as cover, like hide behind the door, or just go inside and try to ambush the enemy team. Anything is possible. So that's all there is to Mystic Swamp. The second map for Squad Assault and Random Annihilation is a Daylight Harbor. Now this map also has 2 spawn points for the teams. A probably... what the fuck? A probably goes there and B goes over here. This place is a lot more interesting because there are multiple floors in certain buildings. For example, this building over here, like you can probably already see the staircase like around there. It's the same building as over here, and both have like a lower level and a higher level, which are easily accessible. You can use those to shoot people through a window while covering your body. You can still get headshots though, so be wary of that. And this building, as well as this building, are the ones on which you can climb on top to, for example, jump to the buildings nearby, or if you are like feeling lucky, you might even be able to get on here. The only way to get on there though is by jumping from either there or there. You'll have to be very crafty to get on there, but it's possible. I've done it a couple of times. It's also possible to make it from here, I think, to, I think it was a corner around here, and then you can jump on top of here, or you can jump straight on top of there by doing a roll jump kind of maneuver. Not exactly sure how it works. It's the same as on the previous map, so I'm not going to go in detail about it. On both of these places you can also go behind the base, which is this line and this line. You can hide behind there and you can technically spawn camp. These places are also great hiding places for spawn camping. The same thing applies to over here. Definitely make use of them. This container and this container, you can walk through it, kind of similar to Mystic Swamps, but that's it of the containers that you can go through. Most of the other things are solid or are buildings. There are also some places you can climb on, but they are so not worth it, since our buildings nearby that have a way better advantage. And most people just simply do. Last but not least, we have the ruins of our token, or our token ruins, however you wish to call it. This map is, I think, only exclusive to Superfight, so you will not be seeing this map easily, since this is a unique map with a unique game mode. We already did covered a part of the game mode. If you don't remember which chapter it was chapter 4, the previous chapter. Make sure to check it out if you want to learn more about this game mode as well as see some gameplay footage. Anyway, this map has 2 spawn points for the teams. As you can see, the enemy home base is marked red and mine is marked blue, but I'm currently standing on it. Anyways, base A is going to be here, and we have base B over here. Now the thing is, if you are part of Team A and you try to enter the base of Team B, you will get instantly killed. This is like a, I think a spawn camp countermeasure. So be cautious about that. Now, as you can see, there are some plus icons on the map. For example, let's pick this one. That's a healing place. So you don't have to use bandages or cubes, just go through there and it will heal you, like you're using a shit ton of bandages to get to full health. All of the places on the map are dead. There are also some special places, which is, for example, in the dead center here. That's a place where weapons spawn. Like, it has a timer and countdown of, I think it's a minute-ish. And you can find interesting weapons in there that are stronger than the base weapons you can find in your base. Now in your base you will get like all of the things you need. But we're talking about a map, so yeah, that's it about a map. Like, you have, I think, another spawn point in here. There are also some areas where you can go, like in a tunnel, and like that's around here, where you can find a ton of cubes. In these corners, you can also find some items. I think it was mainly cubes and sometimes a weapon. But yeah, that's it. Like, they spawn very diversely on the map. And it's pretty much a war, this map. There are strategic points where you can hide between, such as the higher walls. And you can like peek around the corner to shoot the enemies. Or you can stand on top of the wall and try to cover yourself while shooting with a sniper, for example, which honestly is my go-to strategy. There are also the containers, like these two, in which you can hide and surprise the enemy if they run by. It's great for ambushing an enemy with a shotgun, it works extremely well. And on this side of the map, you have a couple of entrances on which you can like enter, and from there you can find supplies around here, and you will have many places to hide and ambush players, like for example at this tiny area, and here as well you can hide and players will not see you unless they look in the direction or you are moving and they can see the footsteps. So honestly, it's a very simple map, but great for a quick game. That's it for chapter 5. Chapter 6. Gameplay strategies. Now, as you guys might know, when you are very skilled in a game, skill will only get you so far. Eventually it won't grant you a victory when everyone is at a certain skill level. Like you can no longer climb higher skill-wise, you are already at the top. That's where mind games come in. And what are mind games? Mind games are strategies. That's it, like you try to fool the enemy or you try to outplay them by having a better strategy. And that is what this chapter is about, strategies. Now this chapter is divided in 3 sections, basic, advanced and personal strategies. They are all strategies that are mandatory obviously for everyone. There's also some strategies that I use myself that some of you might have not thought about before this. Anyway, let's start with basic strategies. Now the first and foremost important thing is always keep moving. Like, just dance around, just move left, right, whatever you do, like keep moving. When you're looting a body, make sure to move, because you have most likely killed a player over there, and that means that if there was someone else nearby, that person will know that there were some bullet sounds near your location, and if you're just standing there without moving, you will be an easy headshot. Always keep moving. When you are sniping, you also want to keep moving. I know it like has a certain impact on your accuracy, but the moment you shoot your bullet is the moment you stand still, and the moment you are not shooting but just trying to aim is the moment that you are moving, dancing, jumping, doing whatever the hell you want to do. Because if someone gets a chance to shoot at you, a clear headshot, they will. I know for a fact that I will, and I've killed many players that were not moving enough. Now, secondly, this is also very important for the basics. You want to understand the basics of Cyber Hunter before you start to get like to the most important parts of this. Get to the training camp, practice your shooting. Like, you want to understand how Cyber Hunter works as a game before you want to clash out against other players. Because nailing the basics is very important in any game, especially when it's a competitive based game. Now another point that I see a lot of you still doing, like not in the Ace but mainly like the new players are doing this a lot. Don't camp in places. You do not want to camp in Battle Royale games. Like the big, and I repeat, the big issue in Battle Royale is that it is a dynamic game. There are still some certain spawn points, for example when players get resurrected, but that's about it. Camping in Battle Royale is not going to work out in your favor, because you'll be revealing your position to a plethora of players, and not only that, if you're camping you will be only able to see a certain part of the map or a certain vicinity, and if that place is clear, then that place is clear. There's no need to keep watching over that place, just move on to the next place. Camping is not going to get you far. If anything, camping will get you killed sooner than when you are traveling across the map. Now, one basic strategy, you don't want to go to the crowded places. Like, you seriously don't. If you do not have a lot of experience in this game, then you want to avoid places such as Voidlands, Vera City, Pumpkin Town, and all those fancy places. Like, you just want to go to like that rundown shed near a beach, or maybe to like a handful of buildings near the roads. You'll get geared, that's fine, and if you're in a squad they will all get geared as well. You just grab a vehicle nearby and go to the next not crowded place, because Battle Royale is all about survival at the end of the day. You're not going to survive if you get killed within the first 15 seconds. So avoid crowded places if you're not confident in your skills. Now another thing that I cannot stress enough is that you should not jump out of the airplane because you think it's an okay time to jump. You should jump out of the airplane when you are very confident that you can reach the highest landing speed possible, which is at 241 kilometers per hour. Now, this means that when you are like almost like on top of the spot you want to land at, that's when you jump. Like, not exactly that on top of it, because then you will land at 210, but a bit diagonal. Like, you don't want to lose too much speed and you don't want to travel too much distance. Now, why do you want to jump like as late as you can but not too late? That is because the airplane travels a lot faster than you traveling to your destination. So let's say you jump near Voidlands and you want to reach Vera City. The airplane also flies to like above Vera City. Then by the time you will land at Vera City, there will be players there that have already looted half the place. Since the airplane travels like at a higher speed than you will just watch how the airplane takes advantage of you. So you're close to the ground, but the players gliding at high speed to the ground will still beat you. So definitely only jump when you can land at high speed at, of course, your desired destination. And one before the last points for basic strategies: don't make noise when you don't have to. Like, I've seen this many times, players just trying to shoot random guns and bullets like in all places because they want to test out their gun. It's a fancy gun after all, but you don't have to. We have a shooting range for that, where you can pick up literally every gun and shoot with it and test it out and see how it is. Don't do it in the game, because you will be revealing your position, and positioning is so important. If you don't know your enemy's position and they do know your position, you will get screwed over very hard. So don't make noise when you don't have to, and if you did make some noise, move away as soon as you can. Like keep traveling, keep moving. You don't want to get ambushed. And lastly, if you are with a team, always stay within vicinity of each other. Like that's the whole thing about teams. You can stay next to each other so you can assist one another. Or you can resurrect each other, you can revive each other, like you can heal each other, you can support each other on so many levels. That's why when you go with a squad you always go together. Don't be the oddball trying to flex because you are so good. That is going to go to Pumpkin Town when the whole squad is going to Voidland. Don't be that ridiculous odd person because you will be the first one to die. And you will also be the first one spamming chat. Please resurrect me, please help me. No one's going to do that because you are way too far. And generally speaking, no one likes people like that. If you go in a squad, play like a squad. If you want to go without a squad and want to play solo, then just go into solo modes or uncheck random squad mates option. It's not that difficult. If you want to play with a squad, then at least be a proper squad member. Right, second section, advanced strategies. Well, I'm going to start straight up. Use your senses, like you've got eyes, you've got ears, you even have a mouth, so don't be afraid to use them. Because your senses are the most important factor in this game, especially not just in game, but in Battle Royale in general. If you can hear footsteps, and it's not your teammate, then it's definitely an enemy that's nearby. If you can see some bullet icons on the minimap, those are not yours, those are the enemies. And based on that you can know around where an enemy is, and that way you can ambush the enemy if they do not know where you are. You'll have the advantage over them based on your position and based on your knowledge. So use your senses to the fullest because it will help you significantly to get to a higher rank. Another important thing is to use your surroundings for cover and ambushes. Let's say you're going to land in Vera City. You don't want to land in the wide open road. You want to land near a building because if someone else lands there, you can use the building as a cover. If you do not have content materials or bandages or whatsoever, you can just use the walls of the buildings to hide yourself or to move around and to maneuver like it's a maze, and the enemy will easily lose you. And you will still stay healthy, but the same thing applies to the enemy. Like the enemy can also use it to their advantage, and to counter that, you will just have to move a lot. For example, use a tall building to climb on top of it and to glide, to cover more distance than the enemy is while trying to run away. So long story short, always make sure to use your surroundings for cover. And it's not just buildings, it can be a mountain, it can be a hill, it can even be just a rock or a tree. Like anything goes as long as you survive. Now one thing that honestly almost no one does, but it's a fun thing to do. And it's still part of advanced strategy despite being so basic. Always close the doors. If you go through a building, like try to enter through the window. Because when someone sees a open door, they will know someone was there. Or they will know that someone is still nearby. Either way, they will know a lot of information simply because of a open door. So always try to close doors when you open them, and always try to enter through buildings, windows, or otherwise you'll be revealing positions. Like when you are, for example, going through a city, just pay attention when you're driving by to open doors, and you will be able to tell where players went. For example, let's say someone landed near Angela, alright? And the person noticed you, so the person went away from Angela and started to make his way through Columbus, like from around the road. And you are at Angela, you're trying to stalk the player, but you have lost complete sight of him. And then in the distance you can see a building with an open door. You go to that building, you look around and you see another building with an open door. And then you go to that building, you climb a bit on the hill, you look around, and then you see your target moving in Columbus, trying to loot everything. How did you find your target? Because he left the doors open as a trail. And that's why it's important to close the doors. Like, try to erase the breadcrumbs that you left behind. Now, you always want to maintain a dominant position over your enemies. And why am I saying a dominant position and not a higher position? Because a dominant position isn't necessarily a higher position. Most players tend to use a quantum tower to get high ground over the enemies. And they think that's a great position to shoot from. Fact is though, that it's not. Like, there are plenty of situations where getting high ground is more advantageous. But there is like a shit ton of situations where low ground is more dominant. For example, at high ground you will not be able to go in buildings. If you have a tower and there is a building underneath you, the other player can go underneath your tower and use your tower that you spent 60 cubes on to defend themselves. Or they can just go and roll into the building and hide in there until you decide to come out. So honestly, high ground is not always the best. A dominant position, however, is the best. A dominant position is a position where you have the upper hand over your enemy. Like, let's say the enemy is in a building and the enemy is waiting in a bathroom. You have a quantum shield, alright? You place a quantum shield in the door of the bathroom. You have a dominant position over the enemy now. If you do not place a shield, the enemy will have a dominant position over you. Now let me explain both situations. If you do not place the shield, the enemy will have a dominant position because there's only one entrance, and that's the door in the building between the bathroom and the building itself. So you have to enter the building and the enemy will be able to respond quicker than you in order to kill you. For example, the shotgun will be a one shot and you're gone. Now if you place a shield wall, on the other hand, you will have plenty of time to figure out where the enemy is, and you will have an open part on top of the shield, so you can place, or rather you can throw a grenade inside and damage the player. You can do so many things, because you have the dominant position now, like you decide how the fight is going to go. And a building is just an example. This applies to mountains, this applies in the wide open fields, this applies to anything. Like, you always want to get the dominant position over the enemy. That's so important. So make sure to pay attention to that when positioning yourself. Another important thing, always strategize your droid skills to match your playstyle or the one you want to try. Because droid skills, they are the game changers in this game. If you have a bad droid skill setup for your weapon setup, you are most likely guaranteed to get wiped out before reaching the top 10. Because certain droid skills are more effective at certain weapon combinations. And if you don't take advantage of those, the enemy definitely will. So always strategize your droid skills to match the weapons you want to play with. For example, if I hit start right now, I know that I want to try a Delta with, for example, a Nightingale. I know a Delta is very stable but weak in general, so I will use the fire support droid skill to make up for the weakness. Since I will be using a Nightingale, I know that I will need some place to heal myself if I get in a pinch, so a shield wall is definitely important, or a fort. But the shield wall is cheap, so right now I will be using a shield wall with fire support. That leaves only one droid skill left, and maybe I wanna hide when people get nearby, so I might use a stealth force. Maybe I just wanna fly away, so I will use the flight formula. Or maybe I just want a first aid device, or the healing device to heal myself or to resurrect my teammates. Now you can see that the 3 droid skill slots you have are suddenly not a lot anymore. That's why you want to get the best out of it. Now when you get into the lobby, the waiting area, where everyone is shooting and jumping around, you can open the minimap to see which path the airplane will follow, and based on that you can adjust your strategy and droid skills. What most people now do, or at least I hope they do, are they make droid skill presets. For example, one it's great for SMG with, for example, heavy weapon, one preset for a rifle with a shotgun, and another one for a sniper with a SMG. Now, based on the flight path, they will have a proper preset, so they will not have to switch, like changing every skill for the entirety of the waiting time. No, they can just pick the preset and then land at a location they desire. For example, if the flight path is going from Voidlands to Pumpkin Town, then places such as Angela are out of the question because it takes too long to fly to there, and the chances of the circle going there as well are quite small. That being said though, like, if you see the minimap and you decide where you want to land, there's also another extra advantage to that, because certain places have a high chance of certain weapons spawning. For example, Voidlands is divided in two parts, the part near Echo Beach and the part like, well, the other part. Now let's say the part near Echo Beach, we will call that part A for ease. Now let's say you want to land at part A. At part A you will always find SMGs, you will find a ton of SMGs. You will also find plenty of heavy weapons. There is also always a healthy amount of rifles nearby and shotguns. So you have 4 weapon types that you can find in large quantities. Now you can be specific when you go to that part. For example, I want to play with the Son of the Sky and the Sentinel. So my droid skills will be orientated around those two. For example, fire support with a healing device and a tower. So now when you are going in the plane, you will have a good droid skill setup, so when you land and you encounter other players, you have a wall to defend yourself with, or a tower. You can heal yourself, and your weapons will fully focus on damage. And with the fire support you can even take down a squad because you're doing so damn much damage. Now let's talk about circle advantage. When the game starts, you will notice that there is a storm and there's a circle. Like, staying in the circle is survival, staying in the storm is death. You'll take a lot of damage over time, so you want to stay like in the circle all the time, even when the circle is very tiny. But the circle always shrinks with a fourth of the size. So you want to get circle advantage. That means that you will be, compared to the other players, the quickest one to be inside the circle, because being in the circle will mean that you will see other players entering the circle as well. And that will give you an advantage over them. You will have a better position and you will know their location. They will not know yours and they are still looking for a good position. Most likely your position if you took a good one. So circle advantage, very important. If you see that the circle is very far ahead, immediately travel to it. Because if all the players get there before you, you will be just sitting duck. And if you have the storm in your back or you're coming out of the storm, they will easily shred you. It's not worth it. Just travel. There are plenty of loot at any place on the map, honestly. And lastly, I'll be talking a bit more about droid skills, because there is also the option to play with other people in this game. Mainly squads and duos. Now if you play with other people, you can up your droid skill strategy to the next level. Let's say you have 4 players in a squad, you have a full squad, and you are all, for example, on Discord, chatting with each other, you know each other. So what you can do, let's say player A, B, C and D. Player A is the support guy. Everyone knows in the squad that he is definitely going to go with the Nightingale and he will get a shotgun gore whenever anyone finds one. So you might as well give him the, let's say, the scanning device, because he will have 2 other slots for himself, for example something to heal himself with and something to build with. Now player A has the scanning device. That means that the whole squad can see the enemies within vicinity if he uses the scanning device. So player A focuses on support and position reveal. Player B is fully offensive, he's just not good at support. He's just a musclehead for that matter. So player B is going to go with fire support and a falling star with the core and a stone of the sky or sentinel, because that is what player B is good with. So player B will be your artillery. He's going to front lines and going to obliterate anything he can see. And player C is he's the kind of guy that's in between everything. He can do everything like decently. He doesn't excel at one thing, so he decides to go with like the skill that resurrects players, the first aid device, so that if any of the players get down, he can resurrect him. He also decides to go with the Nightingale as well to be the second support, so that if the first one goes down, he will still be around. And his droid skill setup will be suited to that. He can choose the 2 slots he wants by himself, like that's all cool. So player C is the secondary support. The droid skill wise, he has the first aid device. So right now we have someone that can scan, we have someone that does a shit ton of damage, and we have someone that will resurrect everyone. Now, we have 1 player left in the squad, the last one. Now usually the last one can take any skill that you want, or you can be smart about it, you can strategize it. You might be able to take, for example, the stealth device. So when you guys are hiding in a building, he can place the stealth device inside the building. 2 players can climb on the roof of the building, and one can hide in the building, one can hide outside the building. And the enemies will think that everyone is inside the building, because that's the stealthed area. But on the roof you are also stealthed. So those 4 skills, they are too much for 1 player to have, but they are enough for a full squad to have, and they are very important. And that's not all, there are plenty of other skill combinations. Like you have to test what works for your own squad, or for your own duos for that matter. But strategizing those will give you an upper edge in squads over so many other squads, it's unreal. So definitely communicate with each other about the droid skill setups. Now let's get to the third part of this chapter, personal strategies. Now I've talked a lot about droid skills, and I've already covered the weapon setup with the droid skill part, but I want you guys to know that it is also a huge part of my personal strategy. I always strategize ahead which weapon I will use. I just say it in the lobby and then I land to the place that is very likely to have that weapon. For example, if I want to play with a rifle and a sniper or a shotgun, then I will go to Hayden Park because that's where I will find plenty of those. If I want to play with heavy weapon as a secondary and maybe a SMG such as Sentinel or Delta as a primary, then I'll go to Voidlands, whether it's the first part or second part, because I will find my heavy weapon there and I will also find my primary weapon. So planning ahead is one of my personal strategies. And based on my strategy and based on my plan, I just pick a landing site. For example, let's say I want a shotgun. Now I might as well just go to Angela because I'm very likely to find a shotgun over there. Like a Tiburon, Killer Wheel, you will find plenty of those in Angela. And that's why I will decide to land at Angela. Another personal strategy is to fool the masses. Now what do I mean with that? There are certain situations where you can see like 3 or 4 squads facing off against each other near a resurrection point. They are just killing each other, they are shredding each other. and you are like the oddball, you're just spectating all the mayhem over there. Now you can fool them, like you can play as if you are one of the opponents, so all of the other players will think you're a teammate of them, their enemies, and all the other players will think that you are the teammate of their enemies. So they will try to avoid you, try not to avoid you since you're at an odd place. That means that you are fooling them and you can easily take them out. Like when you see someone crouching, just kill them and steal the kill. Like just grab the kill, it doesn't matter. You don't know them, you're just there for fun. And not only that, for example, let's say you are alone and there is like a squad nearby, but you do have the stealth device. Place the stealth device and try to escape. Like if you have a flight module with it as well, you can just push yourself in the sky and then glide away. They won't be able to tell it, because by the time they see you, you'll be out of their range. So once again, fooling the masses, it's also a great person strategy that I use a lot. Not only that, you can also like fool players in general. For example, if you're taking heavy fire, you can for example act like you're retreating, you're going behind the mountain trying to glide away. But instead you're going around the mountain trying to flank them. And that's also a great strategy that you can use. Plenty of players will not expect an ambush when they have an advantage over you. Now another personal strategy, always avoid disadvantages, clashes. Unless you have the element of surprise and they have bad positioning, because if you're at a disadvantage and you think, yeah, let's go with luck, I think I can take them down, you cannot and you will not. If you can already tell that it's a dead end, then it will be a dead end, just listen to your guts on that one. But if you do have the element of surprise, and with that I mean they do not know where you are, then you might be able to kill them all in like a clean sweep. But only if they have a bad positioning. For example, if one player has a bad position but the other three are very well coordinated with each other. One's in a building, one is at high ground, the other one is quite far away. That means that if you are trying to kill that one singular person, the three of them will definitely kill you because they are well positioned compared to you. So yeah, definitely do not enter combat when it is not necessary. Like only enter combat when you're confident that you can kill a player. Now finally and lastly of this chapter and of my personal strategy, cold reading. Cold reading is a term that's used by mentalists, illusionists, well, generally anything that can be considered a magician. They use the term cold reading a lot, and cold reading is a technique that I apply a lot to my game styles and to my gameplay strategies. Chapter 7, Cold Reading. In this chapter we are going to talk a lot about the subconsciousness of a person and techniques used in order to understand who's on the other side of the device. Whether it's a computer or a mobile phone, it's a human being on the other side. And a good thing about human beings that can be in our advantage is that they are predictable. Just like you and me, but we can be a step ahead of them. Now let's start first off with cold reading. Cold reading is a technique used by mentalists, physics, fortune tellers and mediums. Now, if you see like those names, you're thinking like, what the hell is this dude talking about, involving some kind of voodoo shit to a mobile game? What? Now let me explain and elaborate a little bit more, because cold reading it's a technique based on facts mainly. For example, let's see, you have a fortune teller. You give her like $5 and she will say, she will give you fortune. And let's say you are like a guy that's like low 20s like basically just entering adulthood and trying to sort his life out and to do his make his first big appearance in society and make his career. Most people in the 20s, they suffer from a lot of negative things. Like, it's tough to become an adult suddenly. You will have responsibilities. It's no fun to maintain relationships with people from the past. Like, there are good people out there, don't get me wrong. But once puberty is over and people start to get an adult, they will become more themselves. They will give less fucks. That is what it comes down to. And those things are like big factors that are used in cold reading. Like, those are wide known facts. And it's not just like that, it's also health related. For example, people in the 40s, they tend to have issues with their back, with their spine. Nearing the 50s, they will have coughing issues. And all those little facts are part of the cold reading. For example, if a client she looks like she's 50 years old, and based on her voice, you can tell if she's smoking or not. Like, I'm not trying to discriminate here, but people that smoke like over the years for a long time, they will have a very they will have damaged their vocal cords, and that can be heard. So a person doing cold reading, once he or she hears this, they'll be like, oh yeah, I see like a little bit of misfortune in your future. I think you like, it's almost as if you are already experiencing it, like you are currently suffering from some issues near your chest, probably around the lungs to be more specific. And like it will stop eventually, but like, do you have asthma, or like are you a smoker or something? Because this is like near the bronchitis. It's a very tough situation that you are dealing with. And oh, I can sense that you also have some pains in your back. Like, maybe it's your lower back, am I correct? Those are just the signs that I'm getting, so they can be a little bit off, but yeah, but like, that's right, isn't it? As you can see, that's cold reading. Like, you aren't all guessing, but you are acting as if you know everything, and the person that you're talking to, she will either be amazed because, whoa, how does this person know all that? Or she will be disappointed, like, yeah, like, I knew that, or that's completely wrong. Based on the initial response, you will adapt, like, yeah, I knew it was not that bad, because it kind of feels like you have a very strong back. But I think that's the energy I was getting. You adjust your talk, like, it's all a performance. And that's the same thing that mentalists also use in like TV shows or fortune tellers for newspapers or whatsoever. Any sort of type of act involves cold reading. Hell, even if you apply for a job, cold reading is used. It's like people are trying to screen each other. They are trying to get the first impression as quick as they can and to make a very accurate guess on what a person is like. And those are all parts of cold reading. Now, believe it or not, this is extremely powerful in Cyber Hunter, because you can cold read the masses. For example, let's say we are going to go to Reddit. Oh, yeah, we had it there. Let's go to the Reddit of Cyber Hunter. Now we can see some funky stuff, montages and all the good stuff. And actually, let's keep it on. Let's keep it on hot, or maybe even top. Let's go to top. What's top rated? Yeah, that's not gonna work. Let's go to hot. This person here has 7 upvotes, maybe even more depending on the downvotes. As you can see, you will learn a lot from his playstyle. For example, shield walls jumps a lot. Is more of an SMG type of guy. Aims for vehicles and all that. kinda likes to play with 2 times instead of the other scopes. And now let's continue scrolling a little bit for some instant play action. If you can find some dances and all that. Music, yada yada. Now this dude is playing with a sniper and the SMG as well. Like, if you keep scrolling, you will notice a pattern. Most people have a SMG, and this one, like, yeah, it's a different person, also has a sniper. I'm not saying that they're copying each other, but we learn from the better players. Like, if you see someone like destroying and destroying people like over and over again with, for example, a foxtrot and a falling star. Like, some other people try it and they'll be like, oh shit, this is actually good. And then in a matter of time everyone will be using it. That's like how Delta became so infamous for quite some time. How the Absolute Zero became infamous. How the Sentinel is currently like the meta in the game. And that's how it continues. People learn from others and they look at social media to see how the pro players or the good players in general play and perform. Here once again, SMGs. Oh, but this is also the same person as earlier, so that's not fair. But yeah, like, you and me going through that feed, we are not the only one. A lot of people see it, believe it or not. It's just a very few that comment on it or that give a like or dislike. Then we have the Discord, we have Facebook, and on there is a ton of other things. On YouTube alone as well, like, you can find a lot of Cyber Hunter related content. And if you go like through the content that's like from recent, like let's say at least in May, then you will see a slight pattern that all the players have. Most players tend to use like short range weapons. For example, shotguns are kind of dying out now, but shotguns were like around mid-April until like the first week of May. Every player had at least one shotgun. And then you could see again like the hype of the Sentinel taking over. Right now we are kinda in a Sentinel / Son of the Sky mood. So based on that, you already know like what at least 2/3 of the players in a Battle Royale will have when you are going to play. So you know that out of those 100 players, the majority, like let's say 70 of those players, 70 will have either a Sentinel or a shotgun. Now what do we know about Sentinels and shotguns? They are very strong at close range. Long range they are not the best choice. So what can you do to counter them? Use a long range weapon. And that is why the Son of the Sky is getting kinda popular right now. Because people are trying to counter the meta. If everyone uses the same thing, there will be some people that want to use the thing that is effective against the people using the same thing. And this is part of cold reading. Like, you're getting the gist of it. Like, this is how it goes. You understand the masses, you know what is common, and based on what you know, you adapt to take over control. Like, you want to be in control of the situation. So now you have figured out your strategy. Like, let's say you're gonna go with a Son of the Sky, and based on some other weird facts you decide that, for example, a destroyer is going to be the perfect secondary weapon. Now you go in the game and you get those 2 weapons, and you will notice that the majority of the players that you see are using Sentinels. They cannot reach you, but you have a Son of the Sky with a 6 scope and you can easily hit them. They are suddenly also easy to kill. And then you have some other players that have seen videos of people building like this game is Fortnite. All they know is how to spam towers, how to spam shield walls, etc. They don't realize that you only have at best 500 quantum cubes. They don't know that you can only build 9 towers if you have 500. Only 9. Or maybe even 8, like, it's quite late as you can see, so my math might not be the best. But those are facts, so if you're fighting against someone and you see that person popped out 3 towers, you know he is 180 cubes lower than when you encountered him. That means he has less cubes, for example fire support, stealth force, flight module, or healing, like any other quantum material that is actually useful. So you can start to drain them. By using an absolute zero, you freeze them, you wait until they build a tower, because they will. Everyone knows that to counter an absolute zero you just need to build a tower, right? Or put a shield wall, right? What they don't know is that you are wasting a ton of resources. Like sure, you will live for like a second longer at best, but you are wasting so many resources. The moment you freeze someone with absolute zero, you can reload, and by the time you become unfrozen, you can freeze them again. Because they want to kill you, they are triggered. They are angry at you for freezing them. They want to play the game fair, as they would call it. And it's still fair, absolute zero is like a part of the game. But they don't feel like it's a man versus man kind of fight. We go in the pit with our bare fists and we go at each other until one taps out. No, it's not that kind of fight. The smartest one wins. You have to have a strategy, and one of the strategies is draining your opponent of quantum materials. Now also a cheeky thing that you can do is like, you can go very aggressively towards a player if you know that he is not that experienced compared to you. And you can like ingest fear in the opponent by acting like you are moving a lot, you are very pro. You'll see, he'll start building towers. Just run underneath a tower and he will think that you have built another tower and that you are like on top of him or something, because that fear is imprinted in people. What most players do, if someone builds a tower, the other one builds a tower as well to get high ground or same level of ground. And you will see the footsteps. Now what sometimes happens is that the player shoots up ground before the tower appears, so you'll see the player in the air and like a second or two later you will see the tower itself. But that's too late because the player will have killed you by then. So what most other players do, if they see the footsteps nearby or if they hear like bullet sounds, they will build another tower or they will roll away, like to stay safe, or they will put a shield wall. And what you can do is like you walk underneath their tower, maybe shoot like 2 bullets, and they will, most players, not all, most players will think that you are on the same height, or if you're shooting at them and hitting them, they will be very confused. Some players roll away, build another tower, other players like go a level higher with the tower. They do a lot of crazy things. And that is because they are terrified. They don't want to lose the game, no one wants to lose, no one likes losing in general. So use these little points to your strategy. Because cold reading is one thing, but obvious strategies, that's another thing. Most people are very obvious in a game, they are very predictable. They watch how the pros play, they kinda try to do what the pros do. And they think that's it, they are suddenly a pro as well, but that's not how this game works. Pros are pro for a reason. They have countless of hours of experience. In not only this game, but probably gaming in general. They've spent a shit ton of time in order to shape their skills to what they are right now. For example, let's say you go to your average ace on your server, and you'll see that despite the shitty KD most of them have, they have invested a lot of time in order to get where they are. Maybe you are better than them, like that's fair game and all. But you can easily see how much time and effort they have put into it. They try to get a rank and they deserve it. And that's also one thing to take into consideration, experience. Most people will have a considerable amount of experience, especially when you're nearing the ace ranks. And once you get there, you have to play like against an experienced player. Now you'll have to think about the obvious strategies. Let's say if you had 1,000 hours of experience as Cyber Hunter, you've spent 1,000 hours only playing Battle Royale, that's it. Just 1,000 hours of Battle Royale. No more, no less. Then you will notice that, oh right, most people tend to go straight for a supply drop. Okay, most players tend to land at Angela. Like, things start to get obvious. Most players like Vera City, oh most players go to that building, most players this, most players that, and the list keeps growing until you know that, alright, since most players are going there, I will go there. And then I can ambush those players. Or, I've noticed that most players use a sentinel, so instead I'll go with a shotgun and a absolute zero. Or for example, you've noticed that no one uses long range weapons anymore, they are obsolete, so it's time to introduce the Valkyrie again, or Empty Coffin for that matter, or Soul Snatcher. Like, since you have so much experience in the game, you will notice the masses and you will notice the obvious patterns that everyone is following. And that is like where you go against the crowd, because you know where everyone is going, so you can easily predict their movement and kill them by that. That's why obvious strategies are a no-go. What you can do is you can fake being obvious. For example, you can, like, if there's a supply drop near you, you can park a car near the supply drop, shoot a couple of bullets maybe in it so it's starting to smoke, place maybe a shield wall nearby, and don't loot like the supply drop, because other players will see it has been looted. If they see a car nearby, they will try to check it out because they think someone is looting, because they cannot see the loot. You on the other hand are hiding. So you can see the player going ready for an ambush, popping the adrenaline, pushing his Nightingale shield, straight on for combat, and you're just chilling over there, observing. And you can attack that player, and so you have the element of surprise to your advantage. You can take down that player, no matter the experience. So obvious strategies are a no-go, but you can manipulate other players by acting like you're doing obvious strategies. Now, another thing to keep in mind, once you have figured out obvious strategies of today, this trend, like that's going on over the past couple of weeks with the Sentinel, then you will notice that it's easy to kill them with certain weapons. You will also notice that there are a couple of players out there that have figured this out before you have. So what you are going to do is you're going to have to counter them. Now, countering them doesn't necessarily mean that the players of the Sentinel will still be easy. They will still be hard target. But you will take down the predator of the group. That means that you will have plenty of prey for yourself. And once the tough cookies are out of the shell, like just the weak ones remain, you don't have to worry about them. It's all about response time and your own reflexes at that point. Now, one final thing about cold reading and obvious strategies. We are going to land at a hotspot such as Vera City, Voidlands, Fort City or Angela for that matter. Never go to the chest. Like when I'm streaming, I always go for the chest. Like sometimes not, it depends on my angle and a lot of other factors. But unless you are very experienced in this game, don't go for the chest, because it takes some time before you get equipped like with the loot from the chest. And it's a big gamble, like it can also give straight up shit. Instead, if you are going to land at the building, land at the bottom floor. At the bottom floor you'll always have at least a weapon. Grab the weapon and work your way up to the top. The player on the top will be like wasting time with the chest, and once you get there, he will have like at best one weapon, so you can ambush him, kill him and take what he has looted. He's using obvious strategies and you are not. You're using advanced strategies. And once you are done looting, like, always make sure to check your surroundings. Don't be obvious, like chilling on the rooftop, hide in a building, and try to figure out like the things. For example, this is where cold reading comes in. And like I don't know if I should even call it cold reading at this point, because it's quite basic. But since you have shot bullets over there in a building, everyone in the vicinity will know that there are people in the building. So most players in the vicinity will assume that you are moving away from that location, because who in the right mind would stay at a place they shot at, alright? Now what you can do is like you can throw a grenade, let's call this a decoy grenade, at for example a building far away. They will hear an explosion, they will not see you throwing it, and they will not be able to tell directions. But they will guess that you moved from your location towards or heading towards the direction where the grenade exploded. That means that they will not check the building that you are in, and they will reveal their position to you, because they are trying to go for the obvious. That is what this chapter is all about. Figuring out the obvious and using it to your advantage. So you can fake it, you can manipulate people, and you can cold read easily as well. Even when you are like in combat with players, by cold reading you will know what the player is going to do. Like, you know, if this kind of person is jumping around a lot, he is most definitely going to build a tower instead of a shield wall. If this person is rolling more or just trying to crouch, I guarantee you that person has a shield wall. Those are very little but obvious things. And this is where I will introduce you to like a new term. Maybe it's not a new term, for me it was a new term. It's called monkey behavior. Now monkey behavior, it's a very it's a very interesting term. Monkey behavior literally means like the behavior that you keep repeating without being aware of. For example, let's say you go to school, college or whatsoever, or work, and you have that colleague that always likes to play with his pen. He's been doing that so much that he doesn't even notice it anymore. Like, it's normal for him to toy around with a pen around his fingers, to keep clicking it, like this. Like, it's beyond annoying at that point, but he doesn't even notice it. And he's doing it out of a pattern, like a pattern that's stuck in his muscles, like muscle memory pattern. That's monkey behavior. Like, you do things unconsciously, but you keep doing them because they are so normal for you. And those muscle patterns and monkey behavior in general, that is what you will find a lot in Cyber Hunter as well. And that is what I would like to end this chapter with. Alright, this is the final chapter of the Ultimate Cyber Hunter Guide. This is chapter 8. Extra information, like that is what chapter 8 comes down to. All of the extra good things that I could not fit into the other previous chapters, but that are a bit too small for an entire chapter of their own, are all crammed into this chapter. So let's start with skins, because skins is a subject that comes up a lot when people join the game and they see the Shining Star rating and they're like, whoa, how does this dude have such a high rating? What is my own rating? And it's so difficult to understand when you're new to this game, but the Shining Star rating is just purely cosmetics. The skins you wear give you a certain amount of points, and all points of the equipped items is your Shining Star rating. And that only applies to the equipped items. Like, for example, let's say I have 3 extraordinary outfits. This one, and this one. Now I only get the points for 1 extraordinary outfit because I'm only I'm wearing 1. I cannot wear 3 of them at one time. Same thing applies for the backpack. Like, it's the bazooka and all that good stuff. But also with the vehicles, for example, and weapons. Like, for example, there are different vehicles. So for the different things, the ratings do add up. For example, the motorcycle, if I had a... let's say if I switched the vehicle to this one, then my rating would go down significantly. In order to figure out your own rating, you should play against robots if your rating is quite low, so that you will always be a shining star if your rating is like around the 100 mark. To get skins is very easily, especially as a beginner, you will get plenty of good stuff fastly, and that is through this elite supply box. All these skins, they are quite simple, they are very basic and beginnerish. The opening is so cheap, like it's no money, and you'll get a lot of money per game. Like play 3 games and you can open 2 of the supply chests. Next up, let's talk about hotkeys and keybinds. Now this is a thing that mainly applies to PC users, but it is also something that can be taken into consideration when you're on mobile and you have to readjust your user interface, aka all the buttons on your screen. Now the first thing you want to do when you get into Cyber Hunter and you're trying to get pro is to customize things. Like for example on mobile, maybe you want to place the moving button a bit more like to the top left, while you want to have some droid skills near the minimap on the top right. I don't know what's very comfortable for you or something easy to press, but you'll have to figure that out, and once you have found your sweet spot, that is how your performance will suddenly gain a boost, because things are getting a lot easier. The same thing applies to PC users such as myself. For example, I've left my keybinds on default because they are quite basic. They are pretty similar to my keybinds in other games, so I did not feel the need of swapping them around. I think I did switch like a couple of keys, I'm not sure which one they were, because keybinds is kind of muscle memory related. If you do it enough times, you will do it automatically eventually. But the thing that will really help is using hotkeys. Now let's say you have a fancy mouse that has like some extra side buttons. You can assign those side buttons in your computer, for example on Windows, to be let's say F4 and F5. Now in Cyber Hunter you can also assign the keys to, for example, your droid skills to be. This is preparation zone. Yeah, cube. For example, you want your skill 1 to be on F4, so it is on your first side mouse button, and maybe skill 3 as well on the second side mouse button. That's how you can like assign hotkeys to your mouse. And what it all comes down to is that you can access certain skills or certain things like a lot easier and faster. For example, when you're pressing WASD and you're trying to run away, you have your lift pinky on shift and you see someone behind you, so you put your thumb on alt so you can look around. 5 of your fingers are being used like to move around quickly and efficiently. So if the person starts attacking you, it will be quite tough to suddenly pull out a shield wall behind you. But your other hand is just pressing at best, like shooting, scoping, maybe just moving a bit around so you can rotate. But that's it. You still have like a lot of fingers on your other hand left that are not doing anything. So if you put those side buttons of your mouse to work, you can assign droid skills to it. So that your left hand, for example, focuses on movement, while your right hand focuses on offense and defense to the droid skills. Now those things might sound complicated, but you will have to mess around with it by yourself, tweak the settings, adjust the settings until it becomes something that you are really proud of, and something that feels easy and familiar for you. Because response time is very important in a battle. And if you need like that 2 extra seconds in order to build a quantum tower, you will be long dead before it happens. So make sure to customize your interface, or to reassign the hotkeys, or just redo the keybinds if it does not feel good in your hands. Get something that you can play with. Now for the next section I'm going to play a bit of Battle Royale. Because we are going to talk about all the good things that vehicles have to offer. Because did you know that vehicles are able to kind of fly? There are a lot of places on the map where you can cross very easily across a river, or climb a tower without climbing it, or get on top of Super Blue without having the flight module. If you use the right car at the right angle, you can do a lot of things. Alright, if you are going to honestly any map on a place and you are in a pinch, you will want to have a quick vehicle to jump with. What do I mean with jumping? I mean like crossing big things such as that river. Gaining higher altitude by driving up a hill in order to get on top of the robot, for example, without climbing. Vehicles, especially the fast ones, give you a significant advantage over other players. So you definitely, and I repeat, you definitely want to have a fast vehicle whenever you can. You might be wondering, like, I can get a motorcycle, right? As a droid skill, that's fast. Well, it's not going to work because when you angle at a certain degree with your motorcycle, you will automatically leave the vehicle unless you're in the passenger seat. So using a motorcycle, despite the fun it can be, it's not going to give you the magical jumps. No, it's not. You need to have the fast vehicles for that, so that you don't exit the vehicle when you angle a bit too extreme. If you watched chapter 5, then you will know that every hotspot, like for example Voidlands, have vehicle spawn points. For example, you've got a fast one over there, you've got the fast one over there, and behind this huge object we have a vehicle near there. Might be a fast one, might not. You already got 2, so honestly it doesn't matter. But it comes down to having options. And once you have 3 options, the chances of having a proper vehicle is quite high as well. As you can see, the circle is most likely going to be on the other side of the river after this. So after looting, you wanna gain circle advantage by positioning yourself or your entire squad at a good place. And there are multiple ways to go through this. Like most people will go through the bridge to play it safe, others will just take a boat and then walk a bit for the next vehicle. What the pros always do, they take the fast vehicle they have over here and they will make that a fast vehicle over there, without going through a bridge or anything tedious for that matter. Now vehicles can be extremely useful for crossing rivers or traveling quickly, but they're also useful for climbing without wasting time and wasting like your position to the enemies. Like, if you jump at the right angle, you can get on top of this with enough speed. So that if you are, for example, climbing here like I am right now, and there was an enemy on top of here, that person would have seen my the icon that I'm climbing. Right, now let's say you're at Voidlands and you have the circle in your back, or you're at a bad position, you need to escape. You do have a quick vehicle, but what else? Now let's say you want to go to that side of the river. The best place to jump from is there. If you angle your car a bit too, like near that place, and with the right speed, you always want to go for at least a 200 km/h. You can land on top of there. If you do not have enough speed, you can go sideways, so that you will land with your sights on this area. From there on you can maneuver uphill without like having to search for another car, and while being quite quick. There are scenarios where you also might have to go to the beach over there, and as you probably can guess, this piece of the hill, like this angle here, is what you are going to use to get across. You do need to tilt your car a bit to the left, so that while jumping you will land around this area, ideally a bit more to the left, so you can easily move across. Now, there are also a couple of other extra things you would like to know when you are going with the vehicle. One of those things is resetting the angle. If it's turning around too much, tilting too much, or you find like you have the correct position and you don't want to rotate further. If you swap the seats in your vehicle, then the angle will stop rotating and resetting. Now let's see. I want to land on the side here. So we go like this. Still have plenty of speed to move around. Got some boost, and here we are on the other side. Now we can decide where we want to go from here. It doesn't matter, honestly. Let's see some of that rotating too much stuff, because it will happen more often than you honestly think. Your car will do crazy things. Like this. Just switch your seats and it will stop rotating. Do make sure like to get back in the driver's seat, so that when it happens you will be facing like to one direction, and like you can still press left and right to manipulate the car a little bit after it. And make sure to also use the boost, so after you switch the seat you will still have maximum speed, because that is quite important. If you lose too much speed, then you will be an easy target, for example, for other players to kill your car. Now, cars can also be great in order to gain high ground, to quickly, for example, ambush a squad, or to not have to climb that mountain or whatsoever. So you can use like cars for a plethora of things. Now, as you could see, it's always possible to angle your car to whatever direction you want to angle to. All you have to do is get a dominant position, and that's all that matters.
I can only imagine how it is to be with you.
Don't forget the fact that cars are also extremely powerful, as long as you avoid bullets.
Nothing I can do, so I can only imagine. can only imagine us both loving through the night. I can only imagine us together side by side.
Alright, another important thing that I'd like to talk about is something that a lot of CSGO players use, and I used it a lot back in the day as well. It's called mouseaccuracy.com. This is mainly for PC users. I don't know if they have a mobile website. Feel free to try it out either way. But what it comes down to, this is a tool that allows you to train your accuracy and your response time and reflexes. So let's go, you can adjust the settings to whatever you want. Let's go with some simple things. You can also go change the colors like at the minimum level, but what you have to do, you'll see targets and you'll have to click in on them. Like, the more at the center the better. And this is kinda how you train your accuracy. Like, it's a great alternative way for like warming up before you get in a game, to get like the accuracy going. It's pretty straightforward and it's quite simple honestly, but it will be very effective. As you can see, my accuracy is not on point. I do apologize for that, but you get an idea behind it. I used to be a lot better. Either way, make sure to train your accuracy this way. Let's see if you can reach the 300 score. If you can beat our previous score. Oh, that's a lot of misses near that. Now you might question, what is the point of this? Because Cyber is a first or rather third person shooter game, and you don't have to click on things. You have to respond to things, and that is why this is strong as well, because you have to respond. You have to be quick. You have to be accurate. Like when you turn to an enemy, you don't want to turn too quick. You want to turn right in time. You want to get your mouse at the right position so that you can land a headshot or do a lot of body damage. So definitely check this out if you are trying to get like a better accuracy, because this tool will help you greatly. Just do it like 5 minutes per day, maybe even like more if you can, but it will help you increase your performance in game, because you will get more accurate. If you think things are too easy, you can always go like tiny on insane, and then it will not be easy, because those circles are very tiny and difficult to play with. You have to be so incredibly accurate to just get a couple of them. And this tool is great for CSGO because you will have to spot things and immediately respond to them. CSGO, it was all about the pixels, and the same thing applies to Cyber Hunter. It's also about the pixels. The moment you see something moving, you want to snap on it and you want to kill it. Now, I have not forgot you smartphone users out there that are watching this guide. So for you guys, I have some extras as well. Now let's say this thing over here is your smartphone, and we are going to highlight where you would usually position your thumbs at if you're playing with 2 fingers. We should be usually here and here. Now, the strong purple area is where your thumb will easily reach, like that's the comfort zone. And the more it fades, the more difficult it gets to reach the other places. For example, if you move your finger a lot, then this is probably your effective area of playing. But that will only get you so far. So if you have 2 fingers, you cannot do a lot of things. And playing like that is, I don't know if it has like a proper term or not, but I will just call it a 2-finger method for now. let's actually put that over here, so we can have a nice, very nice line. But we're going to separate the screen. Alright. And we want to put one in here as well. It goes over here. Now this method is widely recommended to use if you're playing on a smartphone. They used to call this either the claw method or like a tiger claw. It is all fancy names, but what it comes down to is that you're playing with 4 fingers. And if you play with 4 fingers, it will be mainly like this. Let's make the thumbs purple. Now you will have your right thumb and your left thumb over here, okay? But you also have your index fingers now. They are around here and around here. So your hand is kinda in this position. Let's go with this color. My bad. Your smartphone is obviously on a flat surface if you're playing like this. Let's say this is your thumb, and this is your wise finger. Oh my god. Let's say this is your thumb, and this is your index finger. Now you have the 3 other fingers that are probably around there, or maybe like even underneath here. Like whatever your comfortable position is like. You can also like keep the index finger inside and use the middle finger so that you have a wider range. Because with the middle finger you can probably reach around here as well. The same thing applies to this side. And of course you have your pinky and a ring finger over there. Same thing over here. And you get the general idea about how your hand is positioned if you're playing like this. The whole thing why you should play with at least 4 fingers is because you will have more things that you can do. For example, you can play some droid skills around here. You can play some droid skills around here. You can do the reloading maybe here. You can do the shooting thing maybe there. You can do running here. You can do some other things here. And you will just like assign at best 3 different things to each of your fingers. For example, if movement is here, then maybe running is here. If shooting is here, then maybe reloading is there. Just giving dumb examples, but you kind of get it, right? Now, that's if you are playing with 4 fingers. There are also people that play with 6, and that's truly a magnificent playstyle, because honestly it's very difficult to give you an idea about how to do with 6 fingers, but you should know that if you want to play with 6 fingers, then you should be very familiar to mobile gaming. You are not going to do this if you're completely new to this. Start with 4 fingers, then build up to 6. There are like a couple of methods that can be used for playing with multiple fingers. For example, you can have still your thumbs around here, and then you can have your let's see, I think it was like your index here and here, and then the middle finger here and here, so that you kind of have a triangle shape on each side of your phone. Or you can also go completely different. Thumb A, thumb B, index, middle, index, middle. So you still can reach like almost the entire screen without having too much struggles or issues. If you have a big smartphone, that's honestly the only way to go if you want to go with 6 fingers. You cannot do this on a tiny screen unless you have tiny hands. Yeah, like use the 4-finger method or use the 6-finger method and adjust your user interface to it. Lastly but not least, for the smartphone players in between us, make sure to use your gyroscope, like if you can. For example, if you're playing on a flat surface with 6 fingers, then obviously it's going to be like a lot more difficult. But if you're playing with 2 fingers or 4 fingers and you're holding your phone in your hands, then you can still use a gyroscope to your advantage. By using the gyroscope, you can you can move around with rotating. That is what makes it like a lot easier to play if you, for example, are not playing with 4 fingers, but just with 2. Or if you're playing with 4 fingers but you want that extra bit of mobility, gyroscope can be like a great addition. Play with it and test it out. Alright, for the last part of chapter 8, I'd like to talk about a very particular game that most of you are probably familiar with. It's called Finding Waldo. Where's Waldo? Waldo is an interesting guy that likes to hide in the masses, and you can recognize Waldo by his striped outfit. But yeah, as you can see, there are a lot of people with striped outfits. Now the thing is, it's very difficult to find Waldo. And the same kind of thing is with Cyber Hunter as well. You have to imagine that the whole scenery is just all of the Waldo's images. And if you see anything moving, that is Waldo. Because let's say we have a grey, oh that's way too obvious, but anyway, we have a grey stripe over there. Now, if you look like it, you do not like it. It kinda digests with the masses, kinda not. Especially if it was like a more fitting color. But if it moves around, then you will notice something odd. So you're not paying attention, you're not focusing to, for example, you're not focusing to like this area. You're not focusing over here. You're just looking at a wide whole thing, and in the whole thing, you will notice some odd pixels moving around, or you will notice like a odd color around, for example, some trees. That's how you can spot players from a very far distance. It's similar to the Finding Waldo game, but it's a lot easier and more dynamic, because players will be moving. Things Cyber Hunter, however, will not move. That's why you should not pay attention to like focusing on the building, focusing on a tree. Look at the whole wide field that you are seeing, and just like maybe if you take a distance from your screen and look at it, and then if you see like something moving without focusing, your eyes will tell you something wrong is going on over there. Those colors don't match up with other colors, or it's moving. That's when you will figure out where the enemies are. And that's, I think, the best way I can explain how I spot enemies in games when it comes to being a sniper or having quick reflexes when it comes to people peeking. It all comes down to some of the basics of Finding Waldo. Well, that's it. That was my ultimate Cyber Hunter guide. Can you believe it? Almost 4 hours of footage. This project was insane. Like, I was very enthusiastic when I started with this, but over the months, literally over the months, I was getting demotivated. I had to do shots over because of some updates. I had to change the order and orientation of certain chapters. It was a huge project. So I'm very glad it's over. And since this is going to be my final word for this video, in the end of the day it comes down to your own skills and your own strategies. You have to play the game that's comfortable for yourself, and this guide just serves as a guideline to, if you're new, like what you can try to explore your own set of talents. And not only that, the logic and the mindset used in this guide can be applied to any other game for that matter. Competitive games or just casual games, maybe even just a mobile game. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the guide. I definitely had mixed feelings making this one.